Yeah. Ah. Should we start now? Yeah, okay. Welcome, everyone. Today we'll be talking about mobile, especially about mobile assets, how to actually improve them, how to work on them to make sure that actually we have improved in performance, we have improved user experience, and by that we have just better conversion rate for our clients and for us as well. So today, actually the days can be divided in two parts. The first one is I will start the presentation about how to improve the discovery on mobile. Then how to actually, why speed is so important. Then Marcos will be talking actually how to improve that speed. Then I will be talking about how to actually use data to improve the mobile assets as well. Then we have the coffee break. And then we have the presentation around the progressive web app and increase of engagement on mobile web. Then we have Google Pay and some stuff related to the UX improvement for mobile assets. Of course, anytime you want, please ask questions. It can happen that I, for example, will say that, okay, we'll touch that in a few minutes. My presentation will be English. Marcos' presentations will be in Greek because, of course, it's much easier to do it. Any questions? No. Okay. So I will be. If we look at how mobile is actually growing, it's very often we got to the idea that okay, mobile is something that is strong on the Western countries, UK, US. But if we look at what's happening in the Europe. In this case, we have comparison of one category, which is personal electronics from Q4. We see that actually the share of mobile queries, the lighter the color, the higher the share of the mobile queries. We see that actually that, for example, in Greece, it's 39%. It's even higher than in Poland, where it's 38%. Of course, countries like you have, they are like 40, 48. But in this case, we are Greece is not kind of far in terms of the mobile growth and mobile share versus the other countries. Of course, if you look at that screen, it's just showing what is today. This is actually showing what is tomorrow. Because if we look at this, the same data for the same period, again, the lighter the color, the higher share of the mobile queries, we see that actually just this revolution is actually it's coming. It's even actually much stronger versus what we have today. Yeah, because if we look at what's happening even in other countries where actually the share of mobile queries is actually getting to 60, 70, sometimes 80%, it's actually a lot of really is happening. Yeah, even if we have the feeling that the mobile is actually growing in terms of the user, how it's actually important for the user, it's actually just the beginning. And it's not really about the just about the usage, because it's actually about the sale as well. There's actually global data giving the idea that in the last year, 2017, the estimations that around 1/3 of all online orders were actually on mobile devices, not traffic. The 1/3 of the all orders on all mobile devices. But again, we can say it's just the different countries, but it's actually coming to Greece as well. This is actually the data from kind of recent research for Greece. When we have the data around the share of online as 16 years and older who shop at least as frequently via smartphone as via desktop. Again, not the people who buying via mobile devices, the people who are doing that at least frequently on mobile as on desktop. So they are actually the share of the heavy users buying on mobile. And of course, it's still, we don't have still 100% because we have like 21. But again, if we look at the difference between 2013, 2017 and growth, it's showing that it's really, this mobile is growing strongly in over the world and in Greece as well. So in this case, if we look at the growth of mobile from users' perspective, it's actually more kind of really great story. Yeah? Everything is growing. Everything is actually bigger and bigger. So amazing story. But I think that if we just change the question, what it means for us and our clients in terms of preparation for this revolution, for this change, for me it's more kind of such picture, because we have so many different approaches, we have so many different technologies that we can use. So there are so many different options. So very often it's very hard to choose, okay, which one should I focus on? Where should I start? How actually I can really serve my clients to actually really improve the conversion rate performance on mobile. And if we look at the three main areas of performance, especially this performance on mobile, we can actually divide this performance, this whole area into three main parts: assets, campaigns, and like measurement for value of mobile attribution. And if we look at this perspective, like always, like this was kind of historic approach, and the way that the easiest part to focus on was campaigns, how to improve the campaigns, how to improve the creatives, how to actually make the campaigns on AdWords better to actually improve the conversion rate. But I think more and more often it's actually not enough, because in this case, especially if we look at the two other areas, especially around assets, around the measurement, very often there is the challenge for the people working with PPC campaigns, with any other campaigns, that we don't have, sometimes we have limited influence on mobile assets, sometimes we don't have that influence at all. It's very difficult to approach it. But I think it's some kind of, it needs kind of change as well. And this is actually the scooter. I bought similar one for my child, like 2 to 3 years ago. And do you think it's difficult to teach the child how to use the scooter? No. You just actually, I was astonished. I gave it to him. And then he was able to use it just in 2-3 minutes, yeah? But after just 10 minutes of using that, he actually became very tired. Because again, the scooter, it's easy to use, it's very convenient, but if you just want to ride it for longer ride, it's kind of difficult, yeah? You are actually getting tired very soon. So then, some time ago, later, actually, we bought a bike. It wasn't kind of easy. We spent a lot of time making sure that he knows how to learn. Actually, it even happened that after one of the lesson, I needed to drive my son to the dentist. He actually lost 2 teeth because he crashed on this, and so it wasn't kind of easy. But then actually when he really learned how to use it, he never used scooter again, because with the bike he was always able to go anywhere, like any kind of place and so on. And of course you could ask, okay, why I'm telling that story? Because I think that situation is kind of very similar to a situation in the online space. So if we look at the past, working with the campaigns, working with touching these parts related to the campaigns, that is kind of, for me, kind of the scooter thing. Yeah, so something that we know already, something that is kind of in our main duties, some kind of is very kind of, we work with clients for a long time about that already. But for the long term, I think it will be very, very hard to improve those conversion rates, improve those results on mobile, not touching all those two separate areas, which are like assets and measurements. That's it's kind of course we can say, okay, I don't have really influence on assets for my client, or I have limited influence on my for my client, but if we don't find the way, if you don't find the way to actually have this influence, then very often it will be more and more difficult for you to actually improve those results on the conversion rates. And when I work actually with the agencies across the whole region, and clients and agencies, because I work with the whole region, I saw very often that whenever like agency found the way to influence measurement assets on the client side really seriously, that was kind of almost like moving from the scooter to the bike, because then you were able to totally to like really change the landscape of improving the conversion rate. So and that's actually the reason why actually even talking about those assets today, even if many of you, of course, main focus is like campaigns or like digital that kind of activities, I think it's very difficult to make sure that we improve the conversion rate for a long time without this. So that's why we talk about mobile assets today, and that's why actually we are focusing on mobile assets today. And I think that in general the mobile assets is kind of a hot topic in the whole world. That's actually kind of really interesting research done across the globe on kind of extensive number of digital managers, digital brand managers. And we see that if we look at the important areas for 2018, optimizing the customer journey across mobile touchpoints is actually the highest priority for many clients. So I think it's kind of getting really hot for the clients across the globe. And if we know that this customer journey more and more often is actually including mobile, and more and more often this mobile is actually going stronger on this customer journey, then it means really it's hot topic for the clients. And if it's hot topic for the clients, I think it's should be kind of hot topic for the agencies as well. So and of course, if we look even kind of even farther, yeah, that's kind of another research when we had element of customer experience that are difficult to master according to client-side marketers, yeah? So for the clients. And again, we have the UX design having well-designed user journey that facilitate the clear communication and the seamless transactions. So number one, we have actually the highest, or one of the highest in the 2018. And we see again, the data refresh February 2018. So again, it is showing that I think it's kind of interesting area for agents as well, yeah. Because again, if something is difficult, that means it's just easier to build some business model based on this. Okay, so today we'll be talking about how to actually improve the user experience and how to improve the conversion rate across the whole user journey, starting from discovery. So when we have the user like seeing the brand for the first time, coming to the website, having the first contact with the website, then engagement, the user decided to stay. So how to actually make sure that he can get information about us faster, how to make sure that he will not abandon the website once he loses connectivity, and so on. And then we'll be talking about actually how to improve the conversion orientation via new technologies approaches that are coming. Some of them are actually even shared by Google. And in this case, I will be starting from discovery. And of course, discovery is actually very, very crucial for mobile, yeah, because all the time we know that user, they use mobile even more for research than for buying, which means that very often this first contact with the brand is actually on mobile devices. So even if in this case, if we look at the like data from 2016, when we had the question about, okay, for Greece as well, which device people used to buy, of course, much lower percentage of the people used it for the buy versus for the research. So in this case, mobile was much more important than research. And for some reason, we can say, okay, the difference between the research and buy, people in Greece, they are not so advanced. They just do not use the mobile for buying. They just focus on research. It is just Greece. We are not the most advanced country in the world. We are not very sophisticated. So maybe it's just the situation. But actually, the data is showing that even if we look at the same wave of the data for other countries, much more advanced, like UK, Ireland, the same behavior. We have importance of mobile much higher in the research, which means that this discovery part is much more important for mobile even than in average. And if we look at the different source of the data, one of actually the most important points for the discovery is actually the speed. How to actually improve the speed of the website. And how many of you heard about Akamai online performance report? I think it's one of the nicest and actually the best, I would not say the best, but the widest source of the data. Akamai is the CDN provider, so they're caching the data, especially for big online retailers and performance clients, and they are releasing that from time to time in the form of the aggregated report. And this is actually the data they shared some time ago, which is aggregated the data as equivalent of 10 billion of visits. Is the scale of the report. Yeah, so they aggregated the equivalent of 10 billion of visits and then shared it as the report. And from that report, so again, this is not research, this is not interview with somebody, this is just that they aggregated the data and they try to do some modeling based on that data. And from that modeling, they saw the most optimal conversion rates for mobile around the 2.7 seconds in terms of the load time. It doesn't mean that it's the most optimal point for the user. It's just from the data they had, the highest data they saw in those points. So we see around 3 seconds for mobile in terms of the web page load. What was even more interesting was actually once they started to do the modeling, they discovered that if the specific company was 1 second delay versus this optimal point, the bounce rate was dropping by almost 50%. If the website was 2 second delay versus this optimal points, the conversion rate on mobile was declining by 26%. So again, it's not user research when people say, okay, I like the website to be fast. It's aggregated equivalent of 10 billions of visits and like modeling based on that data. And of course, if we'll even compare it with situation today, so I did I did analysis of Greece based on the Chrome user experience report. It's the data based on the Chrome user experience report. We see that on the 3G, the average speed of the website is 10 seconds. So if we compare it, 2.7 is optimal point, and 10 seconds as reality today in Greece, it means it's not the coincidence that we are talking about the speed today, because there is a lot of that can be improved for companies and for users in Greece. And of course, if we, in this case, we should even add some additional dimension, which is we cannot expect the all users have good mobile connection. Yeah? And if we look at the quality of the mobile internet in Greece, it's not so bad. It's very interesting report shared by OpenSignal that they are actually the latest data for Q4 2017 they shared just a few weeks ago. It's like just in the middle of February. It's actually comparing the quality and the reach of 4G connection in different countries. So in this evaluation, Greece was in the position number 38, not bad. What is even higher than Poland, but still, it's not like the best in the best in class. Rather, one of the lowest data points in Europe. And of course, so that's why we are trying, even as Google, even to show more and more examples that actually prove and show that once the company specifically improve the speed of the website, it really actually improve the business results of the company. And that actually is the data shared by AliExpress on the same Akamai conference. So actually, in this case, the Akamai that was the source of this report that I was showing. And when they were actually aggregated the data on the conference, AliExpress, who is actually their client as well, was actually sharing their experience that once we reduce the load time of our website by 36%, we actually improve conversion by 27%. And that's why actually Google is actually putting more and more focus on making sure that companies understand the value of mobile. That's why just recently Google, during the Mobile Congress in Barcelona released its speed scorecard. How many of you all saw that speed scorecard? It's not available for Greece, but it will be quite shortly. And in this case, what you can do, it's actually you can on one side you can try to understand, okay, what is the speed of the website in specific country, for example, on 3G. And this is still not working for Greece, but again, it will be kind of shortly. But something that is even more interesting, and I think it's even more valuable part of this scorecard, is actually impact calculator, which is the simple tool that we can use to understand, okay, if I have specific website and this current speed is like 10 seconds, it has 1 million visitors monthly with the average order 20 euro and conversion rate 1%. How much money actually I can save going from current speed 10 seconds to 5 seconds? And of course, from the first sight can look like, okay, that's kind of simple JavaScript calculator done by the student during the 2 hours. But it's not so, because behind is very sophisticated modeling mechanism based on the aggregated Google Analytics data that is actually trying to understand the impact of load time on the conversion rate based on this aggregated Google Analytics data. Yeah, so it's not so simple like, you know, students work. It's really sophisticated mechanism that was created actually to make sure the owners of the websites can understand in some way what is the business impact of speeding up the website. And I think it's really perfect tool to show to the clients, to give them an idea how actually money they can really save building a specific mobile assets, what is the business impact of speeding up the website. Of course, it can be then later used to to show to the client that, for example, his specific competitors actually are faster, like they are offering better user experience. But I think this is actually, this calculator is the nicest part actually, and the most important part of this specific tool. And If we go further, more and more actually, again, this is a lot of this actually is based on the Chrome user experience report. We actually are using that the Chrome data more and more often to actually understand real user experience. Because why it's actually this is so important? Because what's actually this Chrome user experience report, what is actually giving us the great ways actually to use the real user experience, because we know, of course, we can use different tools that are trying to emulate the mobile device, trying to emulate the speed of the user like experience, so on. But this is actually more and more data coming from real users using the website, so we have real data. And actually, more and more of the data is even shared externally as well. If you are interested, there is even big query data table that actually it's really containing all data from user experience report from all different countries, so we can even check it out if we want. Again, impact calculator. And if for some reason we believe that okay, this Google story around the speed, especially about importance of 3G, it's not something that I should really care about, because I believe that for some specific reason, all customers of my client, they actually are using 4G or they're on Wi-Fi, so I shouldn't really care about speed of the website. I shouldn't really care about the 3G. There is very interesting and simple JavaScript for Google Analytics that we can add additionally to Google Analytics, that will send to the Google Analytics real data about the user connection of the user. Yeah. So for example, if you have the client, that script will send to the Google Analytics how many users were actually on 2G, how many of them were on the slow 3G, how many of them were on 4G, and so on. So based on that, we can really understand, okay, for my specific clients, how many of people were actually on the mobile 3G slow, and then what is then the conversion rate for the people who were on the 3G slow versus on the people who are on the, for example, mobile 4G. So this data cannot be done via regular Google Analytics report, but it can be done via this additional script. And I will be sharing the script. It's actually posted publicly on the GitHub with pretty good description. So really nice tool if you are working on such stuff with the clients. Okay, and of course, I was saying that because I think in many cases, especially once we are in the middle of Athens, almost in the middle of Athens, once we are using the latest iPhones, the latest Samsung, the latest phones, very often we can get to the impression that actually, okay, website of my client is very fast, website of my website is very fast, because okay, it's so fast. But I think once we start to go deeper, once we start to talk to the users who are not in the center of Athens, who are more like on the rural places, we can go more and more often that actually from there actually understanding this website is much kind of similar to this situation. Yeah. So I think more and more often we should really care about the speed, because it's actually not some simple thing for all users. And it's not that we are stupid. It's not that if we know that the websites in Greece are slow, Marcus will be talking about that they have too many images, they have too many scripts, and so on. It's not that we're stupid. Like if you look at the developers from Poland, Ukraine, Romania, they're actually one of the best developers in the world. Yeah, usually like every year. Like the Code Jam, even this competition is actually won by somebody from Poland, Ukraine. I don't know if somebody from Greece won it. I think yes, but in this case, we have very, very smart people. It's just that the website is slow because all websites have a lot of different business requirements. Yeah, it would be great to have very small and light website. It's just that Like the client is coming, okay, I would like to have this promotion on this website, yeah? I would like to have, this new technology put on the website. I would like to have this on the website. And of course, the website is getting bigger, 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 and then it's kind of slow as well. So that's why for a long time already Google worked a lot around the different approaches to make sure that we have actually better experience for the user, but still having really good approach for the client and for agents as well. So that's why Google actually is promoting quite strongly this new approach called AMP. I believe most of you probably heard about AMP. Yes. So I will not be touching. I will just be briefly describing the basics of that, and then I will talk around what is happening today around those approaches, different case studies, and so on. So if we look at the AMP, what is AMP? AMP is actually framework for having faster websites for mobile users. Yeah. So it actually came from publisher space when we have the website that are more like they are very light, that they have much less data versus the regular websites, and by that they are faster. And of course, they can be cached, which means that in the specific conditions they can be loaded even on 3G below 1 second. So amazing experience. And then of course, in this case, there are a lot of discussion around, okay, what are like the limitations, what are like the approaches for AMP. So I would like to describe a little bit more in the details. So if we look at the website today, so on the top, we have on the right, we have this average website on mobile. Yeah, this is the website we have today. So this is actually the website of our client. So, and then we would like to speed it up. So in this case, we have actually two main solutions. The first one is the car number one, which is perfectly tuned website on mobile, which means we can really work hard on that website to make sure that we can optimize that website very, very efficiently. Yeah, that the website will actually optimize the images, will optimize the scripts. Marcos will be talking about that. But in many cases, that situation is actually not easy for the client. Yeah, because for example, the current website is managed by different agency, or the current website is managed by different department that department of the client I'm working with, or for example, for some reason the website is almost untouchable because the website was created across many different years. It is very hard to change anything. So in this case, it would be nice to perfectly tune it, but it's very hard for organizational and for the business challenges. So in this case, what we have as the second solution is actually AMP scale, which means that it's just that we just need the landing pages. We need just the specific website, specific landing pages where we are sending the traffic, and we would like to have this experience much better versus today. So instead of optimizing the current website, let's create just in very fast, cheap, and efficient way the landing pages for our campaigns on mobile. So in this case, we are just coming with AMP. So AMP, it has specific limitations, but it is just coming from the idea that it was created for different reasons, just to have the best experience in the world. Because if we like to have the best experience in the world, usually the best idea would be to perfectly tune the website. But if it's very difficult or very expensive, then AMP is actually the way to do it in much more economical scale. So, and if we look at that screen, it matters really for the user. We see that, for example, in this case, we have, you see on this left how it is fast experience for the user. And then if we go further, if we look at AMP page, in this case, we have AMP cached, AMP page cached. On the top, you see how fast it actually can be loading. Yeah, and it's the first is AMP from cache, and the second is not AMP for the real website today. eBay, which is actually still very sophisticated company. It has very good website, very well optimized on mobile. You see what actually AMP can add as the value. Yeah, so you have really instant experience for the user. And if you would like to check out how it looks like in reality, you can go, for example, to Google, and you see that in Wigo example, we see that AMP page, it has even this sign, like this light, and then we can see how it looks like. Maybe I will even show. We see, oh, this is actually the Wigo example. This is actually even the special description of AMP that is actually in the search results. And if we go, you see, of course, in this case, I'm on the Wi-Fi, but still, like, the experience is really amazing in terms of the speed. If we go further, in this case, Wigo implemented AMP for the landing pages, and that's the business result. They saw 49% increase in the search to conversion rates and 95% increase in the partners' conversion rates, because of course they are like sending the traffic somewhere else, but still they saw really high increase in the conversion rate. And I will show a few case studies from different countries. This is actually a retail company from Japan. They implemented AMP. By that they improved the speed of the website 8 times, and they improved the conversion rate on mobile by 28%. And of course, the question could be, why actually I'm talking about this specific case? I like that case because it's coming from Japan. Why? I was mentioning this Open Signal report comparing the quality of the 4G connection in different countries. Yeah, in this estimation position of Greece was 38. Yes, in the same report, the position of Japan was second position. They have second to best quality of the 4G and reach of the 4G connection in the world. Yeah, so to give you a comparison, estimation of 4G availability for Greece was around 76%. For Japan, it was around 95%. So still kind of a difference. And even in that country, they were able to improve the business focusing on speed. So even in that country, there were some people who actually, for some reason, had the kind of slow website. Yeah, because again, even if we compare, for example, something like, okay, specific 4G availability, 4G signal, there are a lot of different conditions under which the real connection is much weaker versus what we have in this official reports. Yeah, so in this case, I really encourage you to look at this, because it's showing that even if we have good quality of the internet, much higher versus what we have in Greece, you can get additional business coming from this, which means that it's actually even more important for Greece as today. So it's good to remember that. Then we have another case coming, in this case from different vertical. It's coming from tech. That's actually the company that have like the more like small B2B. They are providing cloud accounting for different clients, accounting, bookkeeping. It's kind of big company. I think they have around 300,000 customers. They implemented AMP, and they saw 5% decrease in the bounce rate, and then 186 increase in conversions from one line of the business, which is accounting, and then in the second line, which is like bookkeeping, it is almost 100% improve in the conversion rate. And then another one, it's actually some kind of more like traditional retail. They are selling the stuff for living rooms, furniture. Again, implemented AMP, 36% increase in the revenue. And then another coming from France. This is actually part of the Carrefour. They had the conversion rate on mobile that was like, the conversion rate on mobile was 25% of conversion rate on desktop, but the website, the speed of the website on 3G was 10 seconds. They implemented AMP for the landing pages, and they improved the speed of the website 5 times, from 10 seconds to 2 seconds, and then they improved the conversion rate by that on 80% versus what they had in the past. So it's still the conversion rate on mobile is slower than desktop, but of course the reason is something that we was starting from. Okay, still many people, they use mobile much more in research versus than in the buying. But if we improve the speed, that actually it will have the positive influence on buying as well. And then they increased cost of conversion by 66%. And I really like that case because actually it's showing that implementation of AMP, it doesn't need to be very, very sophisticated project. Yeah. So in this case, you see, thanks to our technical team agility and our data and media agency, so again, it was implemented by agency, we managed to migrate our mobile pages to AMP in less than 2 months. So the whole big website, they actually were able to migrate in less than 2 months. So it's not just, redesigning of whole website during, many years or like many months. They just needed the landing pages for campaigns. So they just implemented AMP to improve the business, especially that you see that's actually, part of the Carrefour, so kind of traditional companies. So the decision process is kind of complicated, quite long. So in this case, it was much easier to achieve it in such way. And we see more and more examples even coming from our region, like Zalando, starting building that for landing pages. And it's coming even for different verticals as well. Right now, we have the highest number of case studies, examples from retail and travel, then tech. But then even those more, let's call it traditional verticals, actually they are using AMP more and more often. This is actually just not long time ago, the telco implemented AMP, like AT&T. For example, in Poland, we have like finance companies investing in that solutions as well. So it's actually getting kind of broad. So again, the biggest value coming from AMP, it's actually not very complicated. Even we did analysis, and from the discussions we had from different clients, like 80% of them, they were actually able to create not very complicated AMP landing pages during the 1 week. And I was talking about quite a lot around why AMP is so good, why different case studies, but I wasn't telling a lot really about what it is really, actually. So AMP, it's actually framework to create fast landing pages for mobile. It has simplified HTML. It has specific limitation of JavaScript. So if we have any interactivity on the landing page, it cannot be done by direct JavaScript. It can be done by the component that's related to specific interactivity. And then that landing page, that content can be cached as well, which means that if we especially have the client from travel or any other vertical who is actually present in many different countries, caching can actually help to make it faster for the user. Yeah, because in traditional approaches, if I have the web server, I'm just describing right now the picture on the left. If I have the user, I have the web server, for example, somewhere in the US, and then I have the user in Europe. When the user is using that website, he needs to have always the contact to the web server in Europe. With AMP and caching of AMP, we can actually for example, use of free caching service of Google, which means that if the user is, for example, in Europe, he doesn't need to contact our server in US or in Greece. He can just use that content that is actually the closest to his place. So in this case, if we look at the AMP will be fast for all users. It's just that if we're using the caching additionally and using the Google can be part of the cache as well, it is even faster. So again, AMP is fast for everybody, but if we use cache, it's even faster. So just to actually go to more details, if we can some kind of imagine AMP, because I'm describing that because many people heard about AMP, but for many people it's even hard to imagine what it really is actually. So we can actually imagine ourselves as kind of Lego blocks. So in the actually AMP, it's actually set of the modules. So actually we choose the template, because again we do not need to create those websites from scratch. A lot of templates are just shared. We just take the template and we choose, okay, we would like to have the component related to form, we would like to have the component related to images, we would like to have the component related to other stuff. So like we are taking we're like taking the components and we're putting them together. Yeah, there are a lot of those components that can be chosen from, like all of them they are actually created by community that is actually getting quite big. So again, it's so fast because we don't need to create it from scratch. We just need to adjust it to our needs. And in the past, because of this JavaScript restriction, AMP was used mainly for the pages that do not have a lot of, actually they did for the pages that have most of static content. So that's why in the past it was usually for the landing pages. Right now, with those components, you can have even quite strong interactivity on the pages, but still, most of the time we see the usage of AMP for landing pages. So for example, in e-commerce for product pages, for category pages, for like some specific lead forms, like kind of simple pages when we just need to start specific transaction or get specific lead or like finalize specific transaction. Of course, it's getting to the point when we have more and more companies trying even to build the whole experience with AMP actually, not just the landing page, but the whole experience, but a little bit more complicated. So we have many case studies. We have many brands that are using that approach. You have some examples, and to give you idea about how actually AMP is growing in the scale. That's AMP was like announced in February 2016. Then at the Google I/O 2016, which is I/O is around May, beginning of the May, we announced that we have 640,000 domains that are using AMP in the world. Then 1 year later, we saying, okay, we have 2 billion. Sorry, we have 900 domains using AMP, and then just recently we announced. So again, this is May 2016. This is May 2017. We are saying that there are like 900,000 domains. And then this is AMP conference that was like a few weeks ago in Amsterdam. And then we released that, okay, we see like around 31 million plus different domains using AMP and more than 5 billion of pages. So again, it's very, very big scale. It's really adopted quite strongly, especially by travel and retail. It's something that's really taken quite strongly. So it's actually, from the different approaches we have to asset optimization, that's probably the most mature, the easiest to use even for specific activities as well. And to make sure that actually we have some more and more business data for understanding the value of AMP, even for like agencies like you. So like you have more business data to show to the client. Just a few weeks ago, Forrester, it's actually not few weeks ago, like it was November 2017, Forrester, together with the few companies using AMP, in cooperation with them, like those companies, they share the business results with the Forrester. Forrester published the report that was kind of trying to understand what is the business impact of AMP implementation. That report is shared for free. It's called Total Economic Impact AMP. So based on that data from those companies, that the Forrester created kind of model that has if we have specific assumption that we have 4 million of visitors per month, we have conversion rate 1% and operating margin 10%, then implementation of AMP is paying back in 6 months. So this is actually, for this specific model, we have trajectory, okay, the estimated cost of AMP implementation, and then taking care of it for the three years is like $200,000. The estimated profit is around $1 million. Yeah. So again, it's additional business data to understand what is the business impact of AMP implementation. And we have more and more companies actually trying to understand it based on the specific tests. So this is actually a company from US. They had the mobile optimized website, but they implemented AMP and they wanted to do A/B test. So half of the traffic was sent to the, 30,000 visitors were sent to the regular mobile website. 30,000 people were actually sent to the AMP version. And then the AMP version got 62% lift in conversion rate. So A/B test, just to understand the impact of AMP. And then we have more and more different examples. So actually, some time ago, we released AMP possibility to use AMP for landing pages of AdWords as well. So in this case, we have the AMP as the landing page for AdWords, and you see how it is fast experience. And why so? So right now it works only on Android, but it should be working for all different browsers. So AMP, as the approach, it works across all browsers. Yeah, but something that we are just starting to work on is actually related to AdWords. Right now, we have such strong and such fast experience for users on mobile for AdWords, because in this case, it's happening in the situation that if it's using, the user is looking at the page, and then the landing pages that are in AMP are pre-rendered once the user is on the search results. So user is still on the search result, and the landing page for AdWords is pre-rendered. So then when he chooses a specific landing page, it's like he's right there. Yes, so I think it's really the future of really the fastest experience for the user in terms of the this discovery, like campaigns optimization, and this is something, that's so again, we are not without coincidence. We are talking about this because it's something that has really strong priority at Google. We are putting a lot of resources to make sure that it's actually working. And more actually companies are doing using that AMP for landing pages. This is actually the finance company from Nordics. Again, Nordics, one of the richest regions, one of the best internet in the world, and still they had the mobile website, and then they implemented AMP and did the A/B test. Again, A/B test, and the AMP version got 19% more conversions and 84% lower speed of the website. Yeah, so again, very fast experience for the user. So if you would like to look at this from the perspective of how to start with this, you can go to ampstart.com. I have in my back. ampstart.com, where you have a lot of demos around the different AMP pages. And then you can go to AMP by the example, when you have a lot of examples of different, is this one. So you have the description of the different modules. Some of them, they have even demos, so you can really check how it works and how it looks like. If for a specific reason you don't see a specific module that is needed for your specific landing pages or your specific website, you are saying, okay, I would love to use AMP, but there is not specific module that I need. You can check at ampproject.org/roadmap, where you will see what are the future components there is the work on, where is actually which specific components the community is working on. Some of them are kind of sophisticated. There is new stuff coming as well, like just recently announced, for example, AMP for email, which is like moving this AMP experience to the emailing as well for Gmail. There are some new experimental modules, sometimes very sophisticated, like, for example, AMP date picker, which is something that requires, like, I will encourage you to look at this and think around your cooperation with the client, around the mobile assets, how you would like to work with them to improve the speed of the website's initial discovery experience, either by perfectly tuning the website, and Marcos will be talking about right now, or by doing this AMP in scale. And then, if you would like to have, you see, like AMP in reality and actually in real life, you have some developers that you would like to make them understand how it works. On the next Friday, we are doing the hackathon. So, like, the whole day working with AMP with developers. So if you would like to send some developer on this, please contact Marcos. And I think it's pretty good opportunity. Like engineer from Germany is coming to have this workshop. So I think it's pretty good opportunity to see, okay, how it works, because I saw such hackathons during the last days, for example, in Prague, because we did it in a few countries in CE. During the whole day, developer was able to create the whole landing page from beginning till the end. So it's actually a lot of you can do. So I think it's pretty good opportunity to send developer for this experience. So again, please contact Marcos. And then with this, I would like to give the microphone to Marcos, unless there, of course, aren't any questions around this topic. Any questions around, any questions, doubts? Yes?
For AMP pages, it's a bit to add like the registration form with many steps, let's say.
So there was the question if we can add the form to the AMP, even complicated ones. Yes, so actually there are components for form for AMP. Of course, if you have very complicated, we would need to check it. But I saw even kind of sophisticated forms done with AMP as well. So again, in the past it was very big challenge. Right now it's actually so still there are some specific limitations. So again, if you have a lot of stuff that is happening in this form, especially based on some communication with other sources of the data, but even in this case, it should be pretty fine. Any other questions? Okay, if not, then Marcos, probably I need to give it to you. Yeah.
Ωραία. Συνεχίζουμε στα ελληνικά. Από όλες τις έρευνες που έχουμε τρέξει, εμένα μου φαίνεται η πιο ενδιαφέρουσα αυτή, στην οποία βάζουν σε ανθρώπους που συμμετέχουν στο πείραμα ένα εγκεφαλογράφημα και μετράει ποια μέρη του εγκεφάλου ενεργοποιούνται ανάλογα με την εμπειρία. Οπότε βλέπουμε ότι η εμπειρία του να καθυστερεί η σελίδα να φορτώσει σε κινητό είναι παρόμοια με την εμπειρία του να βλέπεις μια ταινία τρόμου. Δηλαδή, ενεργοποιεί τα ίδια σημεία του μυαλού που συσχετίζονται με το στρες. Και παρόλο που φαίνεται έτσι ακραίο, η αλήθεια είναι ότι όλοι έχουμε νιώσει αυτή την... ήμασταν υπόμονοι να φορτώσει γρήγορα μια σελίδα και εκνευριζόμαστε και φεύγουμε. Και αυτό είναι ακόμα πιο έντονο όταν είναι πιο νεαρές ηλικίες, όταν είμαστε έξω ή όταν θέλουμε να κάνουμε κάτι. Και αυτό προκαλεί και το αυξημένο bounce rate όσο πιο πολύ καθυστερεί η σελίδα που είδαμε πριν. Στην Google αρέσουν τα δεδομένα, οπότε εδώ κάναμε μια μελέτη όπου πήραμε πάνω από 150.000 mobile landing pages και προσπαθούσαμε να τις αναλύσουμε, να δούμε τι είναι αυτό που τους προσθέτει, τις καθυστερεί τέλος πάντων. Οπότε στην πρώτη ανάλυση που κάναμε είδαμε ότι το 70% ήταν πάνω από 1 MB, το 35% πάνω από 2 MB και υπήρχε και ένα 12%, είναι μεγάλο σε απόλυτο αριθμό, το οποίο ήταν πάνω από 4 MB. Εδώ έχει ενδιαφέρον μια νέα νοοτροπία για την οποία ακούμε όλο και περισσότερο, η οποία είναι ένας προϋπολογισμός, δηλαδή ένας προϋπολογισμός της απόδοσης που θα έχει μια σελίδα, η οποία συμφωνείται μεταξύ management, marketing και developers και αποφασίζεται ότι μια σελίδα π.χ. δεν θα φορτώνει ποτέ πάνω από 1000 δευτερόλεπτα σε 3G. Και αυτό το κάνει πολύ πιο εύκολο να κινούνται όλοι προς τον ίδιο στόχο. Π.χ. όταν έρχεται κάποιος από μια άλλη ομάδα και λέει «Κερδίσαμε το τάδε βραβείο και θέλω να μου βάλεις ένα slider ή με μια μεγάλη αφίσα, μια εικόνα υψηλής ανάλυσης να λέει πόσο καλοί είμαστε που κερδίσαμε το βραβείο», μπορείς να πεις «Ναι, αλλά τι θα βγάλουμε για να βάλω αυτή την αφίσα». Οπότε είναι πολύ πιο εύκολος τρόπος για να συνεννοούνται οι διάφορες ομάδες. Κοιτώντας τα ίδια δεδομένα, βλέπουμε ότι ένας κύριος παράγοντας που είναι τόσο μεγάλες σελίδες είναι οι εικόνες. Οπότε, αφαιρώντας, ας πούμε, ή συμπιέζοντας εικόνες, μπορείς να σώσεις 300 KB στο 30% των σελίδων, 10% μπορούν να σώσουν πάνω από 1 MB και 4% μπορούν να σώσουν πάνω από 4 MB, που είναι πολύ, πολύ εντυπωσιακό. Συνήθως αυτό γίνεται γιατί έρχεται κάποια design ομάδα ή πολύ συχνά κόσμος ο οποίος δεν είναι στην καθημερινότητα του design, π.χ. ένας CEO, και λέει θέλω να μπει μια πολύ υψηλής ανάλυσης εικόνα στο site. Αλλά πολύ συχνά αυτή η ίδια εικόνα που χρησιμοποιείται και στο desktop τη χρησιμοποιούμε και στο mobile. Ή την κατεβάζουμε και δεν τη χρησιμοποιούμε καθόλου. Οπότε γίνεται responsive το site, μικραίνει το mobile, δεν εμφανίζεται η εικόνα επειδή είναι responsive, αλλά την έχει κατεβάσει το site, έχει περιμένει αν την κατεβάσει. Όλα αυτά βέβαια έχουν αντίκτυπο στα conversions, που είναι το KPI στο οποίο μάλλον μετριάσετε και εσείς. Εδώ έχουμε 7% μείωση για κάθε δευτερόλεπτο που αργούμε στον απόλυτο αριθμό conversions. Πριν ο Μάριος μίλησε για 26% μείωση σε conversion rate. Αυτό είναι από μια άλλη μελέτη που δείχνει 7% στον απόλυτο αριθμό. Και πάλι από μελέτες βλέπουμε εδώ πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει η σελίδα, δηλαδή όσο πιο δεξιά τόσο πιο αργά, και στον κάθε άξονα το bounce rate. Οπότε βλέπουμε συσχετίζονται απόλυτα αυτό, έτσι, όσο πιο γρήγορα φορτώνει, όσο πιο αργά φορτώνει, τόσο πιο πολύ αυξάνεται το bounce rate, στο σημείο ακόμα και σε πολύ γρήγορες ταχύτητες, δηλαδή πηγαίνοντας από 2,4 σε 3,3, άλλοι 7% φεύγουν, εκνευρίζονται με αυτό το έξτρα δευτερόλεπτο. Αντίστοιχα βλέπουμε το ίδιο με το conversion rate. Όσο πιο χάλια είσαι, τόσο πιο πολύ βελτιώνεσαι αν πας κατά τα 3 δευτερόλεπτα, αλλά ακόμα και αν πας από τα 3,3 στα 2,4, έχεις συν 27% στο conversion rate. Επίσης, τώρα από τον Ιούνιο θα είναι και παράγοντας το SEO. Δεν θα είναι ο πιο σημαντικός, αλλά θα παίζει ρόλο και στις mobile αναζητήσεις. Ένας παράγοντας είναι πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει η σελίδα. Αυτό συνήθως είναι και πολύ καλό επιχείρημα για να πείσεις κάποιον αν δεν έχει πιστεί από όλα τα προηγούμενα δεδομένα. Πόσοι ξέρουν να γράφουν κώδικα? Ωραία, τέλεια. Ούτε εγώ ξέρω. Οπότε θα σας μεταφέρω με πολύ απλά λόγια πώς μπορούμε να το σκεφτούμε αυτό και τι πρέπει να κοιτάμε. Τουλάχιστον να μπορούν να ξεκινήσουν κάποια βασική συζήτηση με developers. Το πρώτο που μας ενδιαφέρει είναι πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει η σελίδα για το χρήστη. Έτσι. Δηλαδή, αυτό είναι το above the fold. Έτσι όπως διπλώναμε τις εφημερίδες και τις κρεμάγαμε, στο fold είναι αυτό που βλέπει ο χρήστης, που θες να δεις πρώτο. Όταν μιλάμε για load time, καλό είναι να προσδιορίζουμε ποιο load time εννοούμε. Γιατί το load time ολόκληρης σελίδας μπορεί να είναι 30 δευτερόλεπτα μέχρι να φορτώσουν όλα τα scripts που έχει στο background. Αλλά μπορεί να φορτώνει στο ένα δευτερόλεπτο αυτό που ενδιαφέρει για μας, δηλαδή η εμπειρία του χρήστη. Ένα ωραίο metric που χρησιμοποιούμε είναι το speed index. Οπότε το speed index εδώ είναι 2,3 δευτερόλεπτα. Δηλαδή μου λέει ότι στα 2,3 ο χρήστης βλέπει το above the fold κομμάτι. Και εδώ είναι ένα παράδειγμα. Εδώ έχει βελτιστοποιηθεί η από πάνω σελίδα. Οπότε παρόλο που φορτώνουν στο σύνολο στο 1,7, αυτό έχει speed index 750 και αυτό έχει speed index διπλάσιο. Γιατί παίρνει το διπλάσιο χρόνο μέχρι να ανταποκριθεί το site, να καταλάβω ότι φορτώνει, κάτι γίνεται. Θέλουμε να κάνουμε 3 βήματα. Το πρώτο, για να βοηθήσουμε στο να φορτώνουν πιο γρήγορα οι σελίδες. Το πρώτο είναι να χρησιμοποιήσουμε κάτι πολύ απλό για να μετρήσουμε το πριν και το μετά. Έτσι, δεν χρειάζεται να κάνουμε κάτι υπερ complex. Μπορούμε να χρησιμοποιήσουμε ένα πολύ απλό εργαλείο και να κοιτάμε ένα μέτρη και να δούμε πώς αυξήθηκε ή μειώθηκε. Το δεύτερο είναι να χρησιμοποιούμε ένα performance budget. Είναι πολύ ωραία ιδέα, αν μπορείτε να το παρουσιάσετε και στους πελάτες σας ή να τους κάνετε να το υλοποιήσουν. Και το τρίτο είναι προφανώς όλος ο σχεδιασμός να γίνεται με το πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει η σελίδα στο κινητό. Αυτό το site ίσως είναι το καλύτερο αυτή τη στιγμή για να μετράτε την απόδοση, πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει η σελίδα. webpagetest.org. Μοιάζει έτσι σαν site του 90. Δεν το έχουν κάνει πολύ όμορφο, αλλά ουσιαστικά μπορείς να βάλεις ένα URL και να του πεις βρέστο μου από έναν κάτω μου, λες και προσομοίωσέ το μου, λες και είμαι σε κάποια χώρα και πες μου πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνεις σε αυτή τη χώρα σε ένα mobile browser. Το δεύτερο είναι ότι έχουν κάποιο performance budget που είπαμε, οπότε το performance budget μπορεί να είναι πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει η σελίδα, πρέπει να είναι κάτω από 1000 δευτερόλεπτα. Θέλω κάποιες διαστάσεις να έχουν συγκεκριμένους αριθμούς. Υπάρχουν πάρα πολλές διαστάσεις. Αν μπείτε στο webpagetest.org θα δείτε υπάρχουν πολλές. Το πιο απλό είναι το speed index και μάλλον το καλύτερο. Άρα υπάρχουν και άλλα. Ας πούμε, ένα παρόμοιο είναι το first contentful paint, είναι πολύ παρόμοιο με το speed index. Υπάρχει το time to interact, δηλαδή πόσο γρήγορα μπορώ να πατήσω το κουμπί π.χ. στο site. Και μια άλλη ωραία διάσταση είναι πόσο μεγάλη είναι η σελίδα. Οπότε, αν έχει η ομάδα των developers το στόχο του κάτω από 1000 δευτερόλεπτα, speed index κάτω από τόσο και να μην είναι πάνω από τόσα megabyte, είναι πολύ καλή αρχή και πολύ απλός στόχος. Πώς σχεδιάζουμε, τι πρέπει να κάνει ένα developer για να μειώσει το πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνουν οι σελίδες. Δεν χρειάζεται να μπείτε στον κώδικα κτλ. Το πιο απλό μπορεί να δείτε είναι, δηλαδή μπορεί να κάνετε κλικ και πάνω σε μια εικόνα να δείτε πόσο βαριά είναι. Γιατί πολύ συχνά η εικόνα έχει έρθει από κάποιον designer, ο οποίος έχει συνηθίσει να τα βλέπει όλα σε υψηλή ανάλυση και του χτυπάει άσχημα αν είναι δεν είναι τόσο υψηλή ανάλυση. Αλλά η αλήθεια είναι ότι σε εμάς που βλέπουμε sites καθημερινά, ίσως δεν έχει τόσο πολύ σημασία να είναι σε υψηλή ανάλυση. Και μάλιστα, πολύ συχνά συμπιέζοντας τις εικόνες, δεν μπορείς να καταλάβεις με το απλό μάτι, ειδικά σε οθόνη του κινητού, αν είναι υψηλής ή μειωμένης ανάλυσης. Αυτό που κάνουν πολλά sites είναι αυτό που έλεγα πριν, ότι έχεις μια τεράστια εικόνα στο desktop, την οποία πας και τη βάζεις την ίδια ακριβώς, τα ίδια megabyte στο mobile. Ή αποφασίζεις, επειδή είναι πολύ μεγάλη εδώ, να μην τη δείξεις, αλλά την κατεβάζεις. Οπότε αυτό είναι ένα εύκολο argument το οποίο μπορείς να έχεις με τους developers. Δηλαδή εδώ συνήθως ο λόγος, γιατί έχει συμβεί συχνά, ο λόγος που δεν θα πάνε να τα αλλάξουν είναι επειδή είναι τόσο απλό και δεν είναι ενδιαφέρον για αυτούς, είναι βαρετό, αλλά είναι πολύ απλό να γίνει. Αυτό που θες να κάνεις ουσιαστικά είναι να συμπιέσεις με κάποιο πρόγραμμα, π.χ. Photoshop, την εικόνα, και όπως έχει κάνει η Amazon π.χ., όπου δεν καταλαβαίνεις διαφορά, δεν σου φαίνεται άσχημο, αλλά είναι πολύ πιο μικρή σε βάρος η εικόνα αυτή. Το δεύτερο που θες να κάνεις είναι αυτό που λέγαμε, να βελτιστοποιήσεις τις εικόνες above the fold. Οπότε εδώ κατεβάζει, τι κάνει, πας στο site, στο browser, πάει στο server να σου φέρει πράγματα και φέρνει κώδικα. Συνήθως οι εικόνες είναι σε ένα άλλο αρχείο, οπότε φέρνει κώδικα, φέρνει και από το άλλο αρχείο. Εδώ λέμε για το above the fold, βάζεις την τοποθεσία της εικόνας μέσα στον κώδικα. Οπότε ουσιαστικά αυτό λέγεται inlining. Βάζεις inline μέσα στον κώδικα την εικόνα αντί να την έχεις σε ξεχωριστό αρχείο, και αυτό κάνει διαφορά στο πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει το above the fold. Τα υπόλοιπα που δεν εμφανίζονται μπορείς να το κάνεις αυτό που λέμε lazy loading. Δηλαδή, εάν δεν θες να τα φορτώσεις άμεσα, δεν χρειάζεται να τα φέρεις πρώτα για να δείξεις το above the fold. Πρώτα θα φέρεις το κομμάτι του κώδικα που θες για το above the fold και μετά σιγά σιγά τα υπόλοιπα. Ο χρήστης δεν το ξέρει αυτό. Και μάλιστα μπορείς να κάνεις διάφορα κόλπα εδώ πέρα ώστε να του πεις ότι θα σου φέρω κάτι. Οπότε του δείχνεις το spinner, του δείχνεις ότι έχω εδώ ένα καλούπι και θα έρθει κάτι, του δείχνεις ότι θα αρχίσει να εμφανίζεται σιγά σιγά η εικόνα. Όλα αυτά είναι κόλπα στον εγκέφαλο ουσιαστικά, να έχει την αίσθηση ο χρήστης ότι έχει ανταποκριθεί το site και ότι είναι γρήγορη η εμπειρία. Καρουσέλ. Το slider είναι το καρουσέλ που βλέπουμε σε πάρα πολλά sites, ειδικά πάνω-πάνω, που αυτόματα βλέπεις διάφορες εικόνες σαν slideshow. Αυτό συνήθως δεν το προτείνουμε και ο κύριος λόγος, υπάρχουν πολλοί λόγοι. Ο κύριος λόγος είναι ότι καθυστερεί τη σελίδα, γιατί είναι βαρύ σαν κώδικας και είναι πολλές εικόνες. Το δεύτερο είναι, από έρευνες που έχουμε δει, συνήθως κάνουν κλικ στην πρώτη θέση και όχι στις υπόλοιπες. Άλλοι λόγοι είναι ότι δεν το κοιτάνε, είναι banner blindness, δηλαδή είναι εκνευριστικό κιόλας λίγο και θες να φύγεις. Και συνήθως γίνεται γιατί έχεις είναι τα εσωτερικά politics της εταιρείας. Είναι είναι οι marketeers που έχουν την προσφορά, είναι ο άλλος που κέρδισε τον διαγωνισμό, είναι ο CEO που θέλει να πει κάτι, είναι το CSR ομάδα κτλ. Οπότε, και το έχω δει αυτό, όντως, να παρουσιάζω σε designers και σε UX ομάδα γιατί δεν το βγάζετε αυτό, γιατί δεν μπορούμε, γιατί είναι τόσες πολλές ομάδες που θα προσβληθούν άμα το βγάλουν. Εδώ πάλι μπαίνει πολύ ωραία η έννοια του performance budget, γιατί αν έχουν όλοι έναν κοινό στόχο, τότε κάπου πρέπει να τα ισορροπήσουν. Και εδώ είναι ένα παράδειγμα, ας πούμε, που αφαιρέσαν απλά αυτό το slider που έκανε, άλλαζε τις εικόνες και μειώθηκε το load time από τα 23 δευτερόλεπτα στα 6,5. Το άλλο που μπορεί να καθυστερήσει την εικόνα είναι τα fonts, οπότε πάλι αρέσει σε designers αυτό. Όταν χρησιμοποιούν ασυνήθιστα fonts, πάλι πρέπει να τα φέρεις από κάπου. Οπότε αυτό καθυστερεί το πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει η εικόνα. Πρέπει να πάλι το performance budget βοηθάει εδώ πέρα και ίσως μια συζήτηση, εντάξει, πόση διαφορά θα κάνει στο overall performance αυτό σε σχέση με αυτό. Το τρίτο είναι το JavaScript. JavaScript είναι ο κώδικας σε σελίδες που κάνουν το site interactive, δηλαδή πατάς κουμπιά, ανοίγουν φόρμες και όλα αυτά. Ουσιαστικά, μάλλον, δεν χρειάζεσαι όλο το JavaScript να φορτώσει αμέσως, δεν χρειάζεται να το κατεβάσεις, οπότε πάλι θες να το βάλεις προς το τέλος. Υπάρχουν δύο τρόποι, asynchronous loading και deferring, αλλά ουσιαστικά λες φέρουμε αυτά που έχουν σημασία πρώτα και όλο το functionality και όλα αυτά ας έρθουν λίγο αργότερα. Και το άλλο είναι το CSS. Το CSS είναι το styling της σελίδας, δηλαδή το CSS θα πει αυτό είναι κίτρινο, θα τοποθετηθεί εδώ και όχι εδώ, οπότε είναι όλο το layout, το ομορφαίνει το site και πάλι δεν χρειάζεται να φέρεις όλο το CSS. Συνήθως το CSS είναι σε ένα αρχείο, το οποίο είναι μεγάλο, οπότε πάλι θες να κάνεις inline ό,τι χρειάζεσαι για εδώ, να το κατεβάσεις με την πρώτη και όλο το υπόλοιπο μπορεί να έρθει αργότερα. Εδώ έχουμε ένα παράδειγμα βελτιστοποίησης του CSS, οπότε βλέπουμε above the fold φορτώνει στα 0,9 σε σχέση με το 1,6, γιατί εδώ τα κατεβάζει όλα και μετά δείχνει την εικόνα. Αυτά πολύ περιληπτικά για το Speedax. Προφανώς μπορεί να γίνουν αρκετά εξελιγμένες οι συζητήσεις. Άμα βάλεις και developers μέσα, αρχίζουν και σου λένε να καταλαβίστηκα, αλλά μπορείς με κάποια πολύ απλά επιχειρήματα, π.χ. η εικόνα, να κάνεις μια συζήτηση και συνήθως μπορείς να δεις και μεγάλη αύξηση και βελτιστοποίηση στο πόσο γρήγορα φορτώνει η σελίδα. Αυτή την Παρασκευή θα έχουμε έναν από τους developers μας και ουσιαστικά στο hackathon θα γράψουν κώδικα, δηλαδή θα έρθουν developers και θα γράφουν κώδικα για να φτιάξουν την AMP εκδοχή του landing page τους ή του site τους. Οπότε είναι καλή ευκαιρία αν έχετε εσείς developers ή αν έχετε πελάτες που έχουν developers που υπάρχει ακόμα χώρος, οπότε απλά ενημερώστε με έγκαιρα για να το κανονίσουμε. Ναι. 10 με 4. Απλά πρέπει να το ξέρω για να ξέρω τα logistics. Αυτά. Τώρα, έχετε καμία ερώτηση? Θέλετε να κάνουμε διάλειμμα τώρα ή θέλετε να κάνουμε αυτό το section και μετά? Οκ, εντάξει, ωραία. Κάνουμε ένα διάλειμμα 20 λεπτά και συνεχίζουμε.
Αυτό καινούργιες εικόνες που έχει φτάσει με τη Google, το WebP, το χρησιμοποιήσει καθόλου. Γιατί λέει 26% πιο πολύ compression το WebP.
Αλλά δουλεύει σε κάποια browsers.
Νομίζω δουλεύει όλα. Είναι μόνο το compression. Μόνο στο Chrome.
Νομίζω ξέρω ότι
So we talk about user journey, how actually improve that user journey across the different touch points. We talk a lot about discovery. Now let's spend some time around how to actually use data to optimize mobile. It's one of my favorite topics. I love working with the data, and I think it's kind of often situation, especially in those environment when we have a lot of unknowns. It's like we have a lot of discussion around the data is the future, like everything is built on the data. It's really like the amazing story behind it. But I feel personally that a lot of time, quite often still, it happens that when we start from this amazing story around how this mobile is important, how actually data is important, how actually when we start to really working on this, when you start to working on this in practice, it's kind of I would say similar situation to this, that are like a lot of hopes, but like when we start to work with reality, it's actually kind of difficult to actually get really real outcome. So I would like to look at this data in this case from my personal view, and in this case I think there are three very important points that are kind of important once you want to really get a lot of ideas from data for optimizing mobile. Connecting the dots, looking for an insight, understanding the concept. So if we start from the first one, connecting the dots is really about how to actually use the even small data. Because often we are talking about big data. There's a lot of hope beyond big data, but we are not using enough the small data. Trying to understand how actually I can influence my mobile assets, how actually I can change my mobile assets based on those insights. It can be starting from simple points like, okay, if I compare my desktop and mobile traffic, trying to understand the audience. In this case, we see, okay, the mobile audience is much younger versus desktop audience. So again, it's giving some insights. Then we can think around how to actually look at the content from the perspective of data. So in this case, we see kind of interesting situation when we have the product based on trial. So we are sending the user to the first landing page, where actually there is the trial here, and then after some time, user can either like uninstall the product, or he can actually upgrade to the premium. And in this case, we see that even that simple report is actually giving a lot of insights. Like, okay, in this initial landing page, we have 30% of the users, 26% users coming from mobile. So this landing page is very important for mobile devices. But then for this page that is more related to the this like upgrading, it's actually the mobile is not really important. So actually the mobile is important for discovery, first contact with the trial, but it's not really important for upgrading because people actually upgrade rather on the desktop. And then even we can go more like advanced, like looking at this retail example, when we have combination of conversion rate on desktop and on mobile. We see the conversion on desktop is actually more than 2 times higher versus on mobile. So conversion rate is like 2 times lower, more even 2 times lower. But again, I am repeating that at every presentation related to the data, that by average, my wife and my daughter are 20 years old. Average doesn't give a lot of insight around the user, because in this case, that's average, but we have many products that are beyond that average. For example, this product has higher conversion rate on mobile than on desktop. Because the conversion rate on mobile, I'm looking at the row number 2, conversion rate on mobile is 1.28, and on desktop is 0.7. And then when I'm looking at specific events, like for example, row number 3, that product was added by less than 1% of the users to the wish list versus on mobile it was added by more than 4%. So we see again a lot of products that are actually really different versus just the average. Yeah? And I think in this case, I became actually fan of Data Studio. I believe you know Data Studio, and I believe it's really good idea for any agency to have any person who is pretty good at Data Studio, because it's pretty simple way to create like simple dashboard in the Data Studio, when we actually will be able to look at the different clients we have, and then okay, what kind of different types of the reports we can create, and the different dashboards for the clients we can have, trying to understand the data based on those clients. So I really encourage you to look at the Data Studio, because again, good template on mobile, it really improve the activity for this getting the insights from the small data. And I think we can even share some templates from this. And in this case, I'm not saying that just, okay, let's put a few Google Analytics reports and you know everything around your users on mobile, because of course it's much more complicated. For me, working with the data for mobile, it's more like working with the puzzle. So you have some pieces in your Google Analytics reports, but you don't have some. It's just, the idea is actually how to create the picture, general picture of the like these scenarios on mobile based on the data you have. Again, some of the pieces you will not have. You will actually face a lot of unknowns. Like, okay, it would be great to know, for example, how many people exactly start the transaction on mobile, they finish on desktop. And you can get some estimation of this based on the AdWords data, based on the your Facebook activities, but it's kind of estimation. And I think if we look about working with the data, especially working with the small data, more and more often we are talking about not being an analyst, but being the data scientist, or like having the data scientist inside the agency, inside the client. And what is the difference between data science and an analyst? Data scientists know how to work with the unknown, knows how to work with the data that is good enough. So in this case, probably know Bear Grylls. It's a famous person who lives in the jungle, can survive any condition. He eats the whatever he finds in the jungle. He create the house, whatever he can find in the jungle. Like amazing person. And in this case, in working with the data, especially in the areas where we have a lot of unknowns, like in mobile, we need that kind of people. In this case, you see, it's not Hilton, it's not Radisson, it's not 5-star hotel in the Cyprus or in Greece, but it's good enough to make sure that he doesn't have the rain. And I think that's the concept behind working with the behind the data. And a lot of agents, a lot of clients who cannot do anything about specific activities, they're just coming from the point that they're just, I would say, got used to working with the perfect data, which is very often not available anymore in the space of mobile. And those are my children. That's my youngest, Kostas. My wife actually is half Polish, half Cypriot. So that's my oldest daughter. It's Alice. And actually, I love to see how they actually are doing this stuff together, especially how they actually doing this puzzle. And they are actually they have a little bit different personality. He is like very analytical person. You see, actually, he loves, Lego. He loves blogs. You see even how he's actually focused on doing this building. My Alice she's like different personality. She's very like extrovertic. She's very like passionate. Like my family from Cyprus actually is laughing that actually she has the highest ratio of Greek blood from whole our family. Yeah, she's like very, very expressive, and it's very interesting to see how they actually are building this puzzle together, because my son, he's very focused. He's like taking the puzzle, testing, okay, we will work here or maybe here, and it's doing that for like can be doing that even for many years, as long as he gets the picture. My daughter is different. I love her, but in this case, it's like every 15 minutes, like every 20 minutes, you will hear like, "Hurrah! I found it!" She found like one working pieces. She put it, and then for the next 20 minutes was, okay, no, it's difficult for me. No, I don't like it. No, it's not my style. No, I shouldn't do it. No, it's too heavy for me. And then again you have, hurrah! And then like every like 20-30 minutes. And I think working with mobile, especially with data and mobile, we need much more people like my son, not my daughter. Because again, it requires a lot of testing, it requires a lot of patience. Really make sure that we don't have just analysis, we have the picture. Because the picture is actually the thing when we can start to get some kind of actions based on that. And I think there are more and more actually companies that actually were doing even very good activities just based on the simple pictures. Like I like this Walmart case, when what they did was kind of simple. They look at the data, even once they had this responsive website, they look at the data, they saw, okay, what kind of products, they are much more important on mobile versus on desktop, so kind of similar analysis, trying to understand which of them are just more interesting for the users on mobile, and based on those insights, they just change the content of the website. So those products that actually got more traction on mobile, they made it even more visible on mobile. And based on that, they got like 100% more orders. And again, it's not that every activity such style will be 100% working, but I think this more and more stuff related to working with the data, especially in those environments when we have a lot of unknowns, is just coming from attitude, not just from the knowledge. And I think we need to remember that when we hire people for agencies, when we hire people for example, for working with the data. And of course, more and more of that like analysis are actually coming to the specific scale, yeah, because such stuff, it's nice when we have just one client, or when we have like pretty easy business model. It's actually getting more difficult when we need to do such analysis in scale. So that's why more and more often actually clients agencies are using kind of central repository of the data to understand specific sets of the data. Yeah, I became really fan of the BigQuery. I think it's one of the best Google services that actually allow you to put a lot of data in one place. Data that can become coming from your internal source, that it can be coming from Google Analytics Premium, it can come from AdWords, any other source of the data you have, put it in one place, and then you can do modeling of the data to get some ideas. And we see more and more cases, more and more interesting situations when actually companies were doing in such way. Yeah, that's like one of them is like Skyscanner, where actually, again, he put all data in BigQuery, even combine it with Tableau, because in this case we have pretty big company, so they're requiring a lot of additional insights, a lot of segments of the client. So based on that, it was easier for them to do such analysis. So based on that, they actually they were able to do such analysis much faster. Like in this case, we have they improved conversion rate on smartphones by like 30–40%. And I think in this case, more and more often in this case, like cloud and AI are getting actually the future for combining with the data with specific action for personalization. And it's actually seen more and more widely. In this case, we have on-site personalization. It's actually something that is more and more interesting for companies, and then, of course, for agencies. And then I think it's great that we have more and more solutions that are actually quite widely available to use the AI in this personalization and data analysis space. How many of you heard about TensorFlow? What is TensorFlow? It's open. It's actually Google published open source library for artificial intelligence. So actually, it's open source framework that can be used and taken by a company or agency trying to do some modeling of the data and then some personalization based on that. So I will show you some example. So what it means to have, like, for example, some AI behind the website for personalization. So let's see, in this case, we have the website. In this case, it looks like a regular e-commerce website, yes? So it has content, it has some products, it's more kind of demo, nothing special. And then it starts from simple things like, for example, they implemented, in this case, some like machine learning APIs that are actually delivered by Google. The first one is the API that's recognizing the language. It's some kind of similar stuff you have, for example, in Google Translate. Yeah. So in this case, we are using the reviews. Yes, like regular reviews you have like in every e-commerce company. But in this case, the system is really actually looking at the reviews and it's trying to understand the social sentiment of those reviews. So, for example, not only what was the rating and what was the rating of the review because we have it already. It's rather to understand, was somebody who was adding that review who was angry, happy, very unhappy? So what is like the social sentiment? So which of those reviews were like, okay, somebody really loved it, somebody really was positive, somebody was very unhappy. If was unhappy, with which stuff he was unhappy? Yes, again, so looking at the content of this review and then trying to understand the meaning of that review based on that content. Then behind the scene, we have, as I mentioned, the system that's aggregating the data in one place, the data from CRM, the data from internal system, the data from Google Analytics Premium, the data even from DoubleClick. Yeah, everything in one place, just to make sure that we have as much information about the user in one single place, so we can actually analyze just one single source of truth. And then the system is even going further, starting to see, okay, how those different products are interacting with each other. So if the people are actually, which products were seen similarly, which products were seen in the same session, which actually products were seen by similar people. Yeah. So what are like the specific actually what are like kind of similarities for different products? But then it's even goes farther, because here we have even real AI when actually the system is starting to segmenting the people. But segmenting the people, not just based on the very simple segment, like, okay, behavior of women versus men, behavior of young people versus old people, because it's the simple segment. It's just starting to see the segments based on the similarity of hundreds of different dimensions that people have together. So instead of like one audience, we have many audiences that are actually created based on the data and based on the AI mechanism in the way that is actually a system that is actually learning all the time, which means that we didn't just create the segment once. The new data is actually feeding the system all the time, making sure it is better and better. It's actually the system is actually trying to get better. And then, based on those learnings, we can actually even start to adjust the content of that website. For example, if I have here sort the products by the specific score, yes, that score can be subjective for the specific segment. So for example, if the system discovered thousands of different segments of the user on the website, that sorting can be different for all different users. So for example, if the system see that, okay, segment A, he prefers the products with low prices, then he will the products with the low price at first. If he understands, okay, the segment B loves the product with high ratings, doesn't matter the price, then we're starting the data for the high rating. And then because it even understands the language, for example, of the review, it can even start to adjust the content. For example, what is this formulated to do? It can even start to personalize the content for different segments. So for example, that description of the page can look like differently for segment A versus for segment B. Because again, everything is actually based on the central repository of the data. So I can even start to personalize that content for all different people, for all different segments, and it's actually done all the time in real time based on the new segment that's coming and feeding the system. So actually we can create, we can think about the personalization as like overgoing process where we actually data is feeding the system and make this experience personalized for every other user, or at least every other segment. So I think in this case, there are a lot of really possibilities coming. The other case that can be kind of interesting. This was the website. If you think about how to actually even use this AI for different like building the good website, personalization techniques, that's actually kind of interesting case coming from Japan. This is actually the auction website. They are selling the cars, but the cars they are actually sold in almost real time, and it's actually one of the biggest auction websites. I think the biggest car auction website in Japan. And of course, the scale is big, and every description of the car requires around 20 different images. Yes, 20 different images, and then like every auction needs to have description. Okay, this is the view from angle. This is the view from back of the car. So 20 images with a lot of description. So it took around 20 minutes to write every description of the car. Yeah. So what they did, was thinking, okay, why actually we will doing that manually? Let's do it in this way. So let's take some images with the descriptions, put it in the AI system, let's teach the system to make sure that based on the picture he can understand is that the description of the what is the car, what is the view of that car. And I will show you like kind of demo. So let's see. I'm trying to understand the information about the pictures. So in the past, I put a lot of images to teach the system, and now I'm adding new images, like I'm adding just new description of the specific new car, and then you will see. It's just taking a while. It had a lot of data in the past. Okay. It should take one moment more, and then we should have the. So again, a lot of. Okay, you see, he recognized that it's actually Toyota Land Cruiser. That picture is actually showing the product from the front. That picture is actually showing from the right side, and that's actually showing from the right side front. Yeah. And what is more, that system is actually getting better and better. At the beginning, they require like around, as far as I remember, around 15,000 of image of the specific car to teach the system to recognize it properly. After some time, that scale went to 200. So like they started from a few thousand, and then the system was getting better and better. So then, to teach the system to recognize new model of the car, they needed just 200. So that actually is kind of idea behind this, using the AI for improving the systems, because it's getting better and better over the time. So in this case, even if we have this website as well, the more data we have, the better it's actually getting. Yeah. So the more we teach the system, the better it's getting to understand the user. The better it's getting to actually adjust the personalization of the specific experience to the user, even to the point when we can actually user is coming, and just based on the few like 10, 15 or 20 seconds of the user, trying to understand, okay, which segment this user belongs to, based on what he started from, based on what pages he saw, based on the campaign he came from. And I think it's really like amazing, like the whole space, I think it's really amazing opportunity even to build additional business model for agencies as well. Yeah, because it's kind of the way when you build the value, not just based on the hours, which is done very hard to sell actually, but based on the knowledge. You can really create specific competitive advantage with developing the capabilities of the agency and company. So I really encourage you to look at, for example, TensorFlow. There's a lot of materials around Google machine learning capabilities. Okay, some aspects are kind of easy. Some are more like more sophisticated. Yeah. So for example, in this case, this for example API, when they were based on the content of the picture, they're trying to understand what is this picture is about. Yeah. And the system was divided in a few different modules. The one module was recognizing, okay, is this car A or B? Then it is the left or right side. Yeah. It's pretty good that in this case we have Vision API, so something that can be used even for very cheap price for any website, having just very simple and kind of almost basic knowledge, versus like TensorFlow, which is like open source but requiring, of course, much more knowledge. Again, I think it's very interesting space for using the data to personalize the experience, especially on mobile when we have a lot of unknowns. And then in this case, if once we are looking at the data, then we can get to the second point, which is about looking for the insight. And in this working with the data, I think, again, we have this scooter and bike strategy, because in this case, if we look at the data around mobile in Greece, and actually in all different countries, very often when we talk about mobile, we saying, okay, mobile user, desktop user, user from Mars, user from Saturn, yeah? Very often we're defining the mobile and the desktop user as different user versus once we look at the data, which is like, for example, if we look at the usage of different devices in Greece as the total population, we see that actually more and more people are using all those devices, yeah? So it's not that I have just only desktop or I have just only mobile. Very often I have both. More and more people, but they have like 2 or 3 devices, which means that I'm not just like mobile user or desktop user. I'm the same user. It's just my behavior can be different on desktop and mobile based on the different scenarios. So it's not that device that is recognized is actually is not device that is defining the user, but the specific scenario. And I really like that example coming in this case from Japan, when we have like the data for voice search. Like was one an analysis of voice search in Japan, and we see that at home, like 60, much, I would say, higher share of the people use the voice search versus text search. So more people were like talking to the phone versus just writing. But when they are going out, then like somebody with a friend somewhere, we had much higher share of text, like text search. Yeah? And when you are looking at this, you can actually start to ask questions. Why it's happening? What's going on? And then you get to the idea, it's actually obvious. Why I'm at home, I'm relaxed, I'm alone. I can talk to the device and to phone easily. But when I'm going with you, like to the dinner or to the coffee, it's kind of strange to start to talk to the phone. Yeah, I'm with friends and I'm starting to talk to the phone. Yeah, and then I think it's the beauty of the insight. Insight is giving just the different perspective why something's happening, how specific behavior of mobile desktop user are different based not on just different user because the same user, but based on just different scenario. And I really love to show this example. Probably, how many of you saw this case? I really love this case because it is showing very well this the whole idea in practice. This is the company from UK. This is actually kind of finance startup. It works in the way that it's actually some kind of service that you can attach to your bank account to have the control how your children are spending money. So by that, you know how they are spending the money. And then by that, you can decide, okay, my children can spend money on A, they cannot spend money on B. Yeah. If they want to buy dinner, that's fine. But if they want to start, Forex account, I don't like it. Yeah. Let's block it. So, or if they start to do some, gaming, or if they want to, for example, spend 1,000 euro one day, it's not nice as well. So it's kind of this kind of service. And then they started to promote that service in the same way as on desktop. The conversion rate on mobile was, of course, much lower than on desktop. But then at a specific point, they started to get more insight around the mobile users. Actually, what is their behavior? And they realized that based on some data, based on some research they did, that in general, the mobile users, or like the users on mobile devices, that they have less knowledge about the product than on desktop, because those people were spending less time on the website. We had higher share of the new users as well in the campaign. So in general, those people had less knowledge about the product, and by that, they had much more concern around security and around trust. Yeah, because in general, whatever we are about spending some money, like all finance services are actually about trust, about security. Yeah. So in this case, because they had less knowledge about the product, they had more concern about the trust. So they started to test different landing pages, and very often we discuss at the different conferences that people on mobile do not like to read the content. They do not like a lot of content. They just, very quick, impatient, and so on. And they started to test different landing pages. And that was the original landing page. And that was the landing page that won the A/B test, having 80% more signups. Like a few very, very, very long screens, yeah? And again, once you would look at this without that insight, it would be very, very strange. But once you know that insight, it's much easier to understand, actually, yeah, the people had much more concerns, so we need to provide them more information, but it's not the way, and actually the same, they tested the pricing page again, that's the page for, that's original. The second that was like almost like twice as big, they got 36% more conversions. And it's not that they just took the content from desktop, multiplied 4 times, and that's the landing page. No, you see the landing page, in this case, it's much more visual. It's prepared for scanning. It's prepared for like very first of view, yeah? I'm going to the landing page, doing the scroll, checking, okay, if something is kind of interesting. And then like, okay, where I can really put my attention, where I can actually start specific specific view. And then there were other like findings. For example, again, if they had the finding that people were more likely to have concerns about security and trust on mobile, once they have specific partnerships with companies that are like the icons of trust and security, like in this case of Visa, they underline it even more on mobile than on desktop. Or even going further, once they're looking at this whole user journey, they actually saw that in many cases it is similar to specific research that was done some time ago. This research was done some time ago in I think in US, coming from the idea that if we have more and more people who have all different devices, which means that I can either choose desktop or mobile, more and more often is just specific task and specific scenario that is deciding which device I will go to use. So more and more often, if I want to do something, serious, long, I want to sit down for longer, then I take the desktop or laptop. If I want to just do something quick, I will use it on mobile. I remember some time ago I was on the conference when like Allegro was mentioning their data. Allegro is like the biggest auction website in Poland. It's like 16% or 60% of the e-commerce in Poland. It's kind of somebody did the like comparison, and Allegro in Poland, it's actually its influence in Poland, it's bigger than Apple and Amazon US taken together. So that's the scale of the operations. And they did the analysis once, and they actually discovered that majority of the online orders done on their platform was done once the people were actually at home. So once they had access to desktop as well. It's just more and more often we have situation that, okay, I have specific time to use, I will just, if I know, I will want to do something big, like, for example, I did some research on mobile. I want to finalize it on, finalize a transaction for 5,000 euros. Okay, I will finalize it on desktop, yeah? Or I want to do really big research on something, that I will do it on desktop. But if I have just, I have a few minutes before my presentation, I have a few minutes before my taxi arrive, I have a few minutes before my meeting, then I will use the mobile. Or a few minutes before my TV movie starts, even being at home. Which means that based on that, they got the idea, we are sending, it's actually the idea, more and more often, this mobile traffic is actually more kind of frequent, but it's more fragmented as well. So people are coming more often, but they are coming for a shorter time. They are coming, it's more like, this, like the different cycle. So based on that, they got the idea, we are sending the users to the landing page. Somebody's coming to the landing page, he gets some information, and then a lot of those people probably will be wanting to come back again in some time. So they are coming again. So they sent to the landing page, and then a few hours later, they wanted to get more information. So what they did, just put the brand in the search engine, and they're coming back to the website. But of course, in this case, they were coming back to the home page when there was no information around that offer from this landing page. So based on that, they create very smart system, which actually work in the way that if somebody was sent to the landing page, that system like drop the cookie to the user. And then if the user shortly after was coming to the home page, and then previously was on the landing page, part of that home page was personalized based on this landing page. To make sure that if we have a few smaller smartphone sessions, we can actually bind them together. And again, it's not my intention to say, okay, that's the perfect scenario for marketing activity with landing page, that always will work. My intention is really to make sure that you start to look for different insights around your specific brands, because more and more often it's not device that is actually defining the specific user, but scenario. It's the same user, it can have just different scenario on mobile and on desktop. And I think the reason why even was showing again this scooter and bike strategy, because I think it's perfectly working for this approach, when either we looking at just the reports, or we are trying to understand what is actually the image of the user, what is the image of the specific scenario, and trying to understand what we can do based on this. And actually, I really like that summary that was related even to this case. Don't assume that your mobile users, don't assume that your mobile visitors are just desktop visitors on the different device. Again, it's not different device that is defining the user, but more and more often it's just the scenario. And one of those most important scenarios is actually scenarios on moving the users between different devices. And I think if we look at the data, even, I mean, data coming from Greece, this is the data from 2017. We see that coming from Consumer Barometer, if we look at the specific group 25-44, which is like usually the lion sports of the like orders for most of the businesses, we see that 55% of population have at least 3 devices in Greece, like total populations, online and offline. Around the transaction will happen on one device. And again, if we look at this scooter and bike strategy, this scooter strategy is coming to the idea that we have mobile and desktop user. They are totally separate, versus bike, okay, we know that more and more people have many different devices, which means that we will move between those devices. So actually, we need to adjust our experience and adjust our measurement to this approach. And of course, very often when we talk about moving users between different devices, we're talking about, okay, that research we did when we asked the user, do we move between devices? And people said, yes, we are moving between devices. And of course, then the challenge around the research is that many people can say, okay, it's bullshit. It's just, okay, we heard that story many times. We don't believe in it. But I think we have more and more data that's really proving that this moving between the devices, especially from desktop to mobile and mobile to desktop, is actually not really the marketing story, but the real situation. And I really love that source. It's actually Monetize benchmarks. How many of you heard about Monetize? It's actually it's a company that is working with a lot of performance and retail clients. From time to time, they aggregate the data from the clients and they share it as the aggregate report. The latest data they just shared a few weeks ago, it was for Q3 2017. The data is not just based on a few transactions, it's actually based on 100 million of transactions. So it's not just, okay, a few transactions or a few visitors. And we see that in this case, the conversion rate is actually, on mobile, it's actually 1/3 of the conversion rate on desktop. You see, it's like, if I divide second line by the third line by the second, we see like 1.56 by 405, which is like 0.38 is like the relation of mobile to desktop, yeah? Like 4 to 10 is correlation mobile to desktop. And they are sharing that in form of benchmarks for US, UK, and global. And the situations across is the same, very similar for all those three kinds of the data. Conversion rate on mobile 3 times versus on desktop. But then they are sharing another point of the data from the same transactions, which is adding the product to the shopping cart. And in this case, a relation mobile to desktop is 7 to 10. So even that data based on 100 million of transactions is showing that a lot of people are adding to the product to the shopping cart on mobile, and they are not finalizing that. So I think there are more and more points that are really showing that this moving between devices is not just marketing story, it's reality of the today's world. And if we go further, we can even go deeper. Like in this case, we have the data from Criteo, and it's kind of interesting because they shared the data for a few countries at the same time. And we see at the top 2 countries, which is like Australia and Germany. And I have chosen those countries because they are not really far from reality of mobile in Poland or in Greece. I was showing you that, for example, the ratio of these mobile queries in personal electronics in Greece in Q4 last year was in Greece 39%. In Germany, it was like, as far as I remember, 42. Yeah, not really big difference. In Australia, it was a little bit higher. And we see that in this case, we have data around share of 2+ devices, like this black color, which is what is the percentage of the transactions where at least 2 devices were actually present during the transaction, yeah? Somebody started, for example, on one device and finished on the other. I started on mobile, finished on desktop. Or I started on tablet, finished on desktop, and so on, yeah? So that black color. And you see the ratio in those countries like Australia and Germany is around like 40%, a little bit less, 35%. And then at the bottom, we have Japan and South Korea. Ratio of mobile queries in those countries is going to like 70%. I was mentioning the quality of the signal quality of this 4G in different countries. Yeah, I was mentioning this in this Open Signal report, where actually Japan was #2 in terms of the availability of 4G. Guess who was #1? South Korea. And you see, and this is actually, those are much more advanced countries in terms of mobile. And you see, it's not that the country became more advanced in mobile, so just we have more people who just buy on one device and finish. We see that the ratio of those +2 devices transactions actually even increased, which means that once we go more and more into this mobile space, probably we have more and more people who just buy on mobile, but we have even more people who will be moving between the different devices, which means that there are two very important implications. How to actually optimize the whole user experience, again, across the whole user journey. So, which means that if I'm on the mobile website of the specific company, and then the second day I'm using the desktop website of the company, I'm not totally lost. I know what I can do. And then even second, more important implication, what it means for measurement. And that's why Google is even talking so much about attribution, about measurement, about, there will be much more around that even in Q2, even around Google attribution as well. But in this case, it's really important to think around how to actually optimize the user experience in this space. And I really encourage you to look at a very interesting report that was shared by Google just a few weeks ago. Google, together with a company called Practicology, analyzed around 150 different websites, usually coming from retail, from a few different countries, trying to understand what are like the best companies in optimizing the user experience across different devices. So what are like the best brands when you can actually get some learnings from trying to optimize the user experience for different devices. And we see that the best situation is in UK. We see that the best examples are coming mainly from, for example, from DIY, fashion, department stores. A few different examples, like NetoNet, company that is actually optimizing very well the user experience, even not across many different devices, but across even different channels. So, for example, wish lists are very well synced with different devices, shopping cart as well. Gift card, if I bought it offline, I can use it online, and vice versa. If I bought it online, I can use it offline as well. Not a loyalty program works across all browsers, across all devices, and across all channels. All different a different example coming from Leroy Merlin, when we have very good information about product availability both offline and online. Yeah, so if I go to the website, I see availability of the product not only in the website but on the offline store as well. I can even filter the products based on the availability in offline and online. And then all that is actually well defined in the with the product pages. So again, I really encourage you to look at this report, because it allows to get some learnings, not reinvent the wheel. Look at, okay, what are like really good examples and cases coming from the companies that are doing that well, and recommend it to the clients as well. And again, that would be those 3 points that I would like to mention. Connecting the dots, so trying to understand how to combine different reports and get the picture based on that. Not just know a few reports, but how to get the picture of this scenario based on those reports. Looking for an insight, how to actually find the insight that is defining the specific scenario for our mobile usage. And then using that scale, and of course understanding the context, especially around the mobile cross-device behavior. And that would be all. And again, please decide Do you would like to have just the bike or scooter strategy? Do you want just to use this insight? Do you want to just know a few mobile reports, or do you want to try to create this picture of the mobile user and then adjust it to the specific scenario? And that would be all. If you have any questions, of course, feel free to ask to me.
Αυτό που θα θέλαμε ιδανικά είναι να ανέβει αυτό το κομμάτι στο ίδιο επίπεδο με τις εφαρμογές. Δηλαδή, να μπορείς να έχεις τις ίδιες δυνατότητες που έχει μια εφαρμογή. Ένας αναλυτής στη Forrester λέει ότι ναι, οι πιο πιστοί χρήστες θα κατεβάσουν την εφαρμογή για να τη χρησιμοποιήσουν, αλλά ουσιαστικά όλη η έρευνα γίνεται στο mobile web. Και υπάρχει ένα ωραίο site, δεν ξέρω αν το ξέρετε, το οποίο λέγεται What Web Can Do Today. Οπότε, εδώ ουσιαστικά σου λέει ποια functionalities μπορείς να έχεις ως ιστοσελίδα στο mobile. Οπότε, μπορείς να έχεις push messages, notifications, μπορείς να προσθέσεις την εφαρμογή στο home screen, Bluetooth, USB, και σιγά σιγά όλο και περισσότερα προστίθονται. Εντάξει, π.χ. δεν μπορείς να χρησιμοποιήσεις τα contacts μέσα από μια web εφαρμογή, αλλά όλα τα υπόλοιπα μπορείς να τα κάνεις. Άρα το Progressive Web App είναι ένας καινούριος τρόπος που κάνει την εμπειρία του χρήστη πολύ καλύτερη. Και είναι progressive γιατί όλες αυτές τις διαστάσεις μπορείς να τις προσθέτεις σιγά σιγά, όχι μόνο. μια εφαρμογή. Και το τελευταίο είναι ότι μπορείς να στέλνεις notifications. Οπότε έχω προσθέσει την εφαρμογή και τώρα πια δεν χρειάζεσαι το email μου ή κάτι τέτοιο. Μπορείς να μου στέλνεις κατευθείαν μηνύματα. Βέβαια, πρέπει να έχω δεχτεί εγώ να δέχομαι notifications. Αλλά αυτό έχει βοηθήσει πάρα πολύ. Θα δούμε και στα case studies λίγο πιο κάτω ότι όντως αυξάνει τα metrics που μας ενδιαφέρουν. Οπότε, εδώ πέρα βλέπουμε ότι η Washington Post, αφού έχει φορτώσει το Progressive Web App, αν πατήσω να διαβάσω κάποιο άρθρο, φορτώνει πάρα πολύ γρήγορα. Οπότε, ας δούμε πώς ξεκινάμε. Το πρώτο που χρειάζεται είναι να είναι HTTPS η σελίδα. Σημαίνει πιο πολύ ασφάλεια για το χρήστη και δεν μπορείς να έχεις Progressive Web App αν δεν είναι HTTPS. Υπάρχει ένας ακόμη επιπλέον λόγος για τον οποίο θέλετε να είναι HTTPS η σελίδα, γιατί εάν δεν είναι, αυτή τη στιγμή βγάζει ένα I και πατάς το I και σου λέει κάποιες πληροφορίες. Νομίζω από τον Ιούνιο πάλι ή τον Ιούλιο θα δείχνει I, this site is not secure. Οπότε θα χτυπάει πολύ άσχημα στο χρήστη. Είναι πολύ σημαντικό να είναι HTTPS, αλλιώς λογικά θα αυξηθεί το bounce rate. Έτσι, άμα βλέπεις από το κινητό σου ότι είναι secure, φεύγεις. Άρα το HTTPS το θες και για να μπορεί να εμπιστευτεί ο χρήστης ότι είναι αυτοί που λένε ότι είναι, να ξέρεις ότι δεν το έχει εκμεταλλευτεί, δεν το έχει χακάρει κάποιος και βλέπει τα προσωπικά μου δεδομένα. Δεν κοστίζει κάτι. Ουσιαστικά κοστίζει πολύ λίγο όσον αφορά την τιμή. Και όσον αφορά το search ranking, υπάρχει ένα online guide για το πώς να κάνεις το σωστό implementation ώστε να μην επηρεαστεί. Το δεύτερο είναι να χρησιμοποιήσουμε ένα service worker. Οπότε, παραδοσιακά, ένα site πατάς το URL και επικοινωνεί ο browser με το server για να φέρει τη σελίδα. Έχουμε ένα πρόβλημα ότι δεν είμαστε συνδεμένοι στο διαδίκτυο και άρα η λύση είναι το service worker. Τώρα, αυτή είναι μια πολύ εντυπωσιακή λέξη ουσιαστικά για ένα κομμάτι κώδικα. Και ο κώδικας αυτός τι λέει? Σου λέει όταν δεν έχω πρόσβαση στο server, θέλω να έχω κασάρει αυτά τα 2-3 πράγματα. Π.χ. επισκέφτομαι τη Flipkart. Η Flipkart είναι το πρώτο site που έγινε Progressive Web App, είναι η Amazon της Ινδίας. Επισκέφτομαι το Flipkart και στο background αρχίζει και φορτώνει ένα service worker. Ουσιαστικά λέει, αν ξανάρθει ο χρήστης, άρχισε να του βάζεις τις εικόνες των τάδε προϊόντων. Οπότε, εγώ όταν βάλω την εφαρμογή στο home screen και επισκεφτώ πάλι και έχω offline access, θα μου έχει content το οποίο μπορώ να το κάνω browse. Ίσως να μην μπορώ να κάνω τα πάντα, π.χ. να αγοράσω, αλλά θα μπορούσα να το προσθέσω στο καλάθι ή να διαβάσω κάποια product descriptions. Και εδώ είναι το παράδειγμα του αν είσαι offline ότι σου βγαίνει ο δεινόσαυρος, ενώ εδώ είναι η Flipkart. Δεν βγαίνει ασπρόμαυρο, δεν ξέρω τι το έχουν κάνει ασπρόμαυρο. Αλλά σου βγαίνει και μπορείς να κάνεις browse ουσιαστικά κάποια πράγματα και σου βγάζει και το μήνυμα ότι είσαι offline. Οπότε το Progressive Web App είναι πολύ γρήγορο όταν το έχεις φορτώσει. Ίσως είναι λίγο πιο αργό όταν το φορτώνει στην αρχή. Όχι πιο αργό από μια average σελίδα, πιο αργό σε σχέση με το μετά όταν φορτώνει πολύ γρήγορα. Το τρίτο, μια άλλη διάσταση είναι πώς κάνεις engage τους χρήστες. Οπότε το πρώτο είναι το add to home screen. Παλιά αυτό ήταν κάπου, βασικά και ακόμα είναι κρυμμένο. Δηλαδή αν πας πάνω δεξιά και ψάξεις εδώ στο μενού υπάρχει το add to home screen, αλλά δεν το ήξερε κανείς. Το δεύτερο είναι πώς θα το βρεις αυτό. Θα είναι σε κάποιο bookmark που πάλι δεν θα ξέρεις πώς να το βρεις. Και δεν περίμενε ο χρήστης κιόλας ότι θα δουλεύει offline. Οπότε σου βγαίνει το prompt εδώ πέρα του add to home screen. Μετά έχεις το web push notification. Δεν χρειάζεται να είναι ανοιχτό το browser για να σου έρθει αυτό το πράγμα. Η Jumia είδε 38% open rate. Αυτό είναι πάρα πολύ καλό open rate. Π.χ. Αν κάνεις email marketing, συνήθως αυτά τα rates είναι πολύ πιο χαμηλά. Και επίσης ήταν 9 φορές περισσότερα conversion σε καλάθια τα οποία ήταν abandoned στο παρελθόν. Οπότε έβγαινε το μήνυμα, έχεις ένα καλάθι για την υπενθύμηση. Για να δουλέψει τα notifications δεν θες να σπαμάρεις το χρήστη συνέχεια, είναι κακή εμπειρία. Θες να του δείχνεις τη σωστή ώρα αυτό που τον ενδιαφέρει, να είναι σχετικό και να είναι σωστό. Το πιο γνωστό case study που έχουμε για Progressive Web App είναι το AliExpress, οπότε αυτοί με το που γυρίσανε σε Progressive Web App είδαν 2 φορές περισσότερα page views, δηλαδή αύξηση στο πόσο engagement κάνανε οι χρήστες, 74% αύξηση στον χρόνο που περνάγανε και 82% περισσότερα conversion σε iPhone. Η Trivago, επίσης άλλο ένα case study που είδε 97% αύξηση στο conversion. Εδώ έχουμε τον αντίστοιχο e-food, στην Κίνα νομίζω. Οπότε αυτοί τι κάνανε. Είχαν αργές σελίδες και αυτό που κάνανε αυτοί είναι χρησιμοποιούν αυτό το τρίκ στο μάτι. Οπότε έχουν φορτώσει το σκελετό που έχει πρικασαριστεί και νιώθεις ότι κάτι γίνεται και ότι θα έρθει κάτι. Οπότε δεν είναι τόσο εκνευριστικό, είσαι λιγότερο ανυπόμονος. Οπότε φορτώνει πιο γρήγορα η σελίδα και είδανε καλύτερα αποτελέσματα. Το άλλο που συμβαίνει ειδικά σε χώρες αναπτυσσόμενες είναι ότι αυτές οι εφαρμογές μέσα από τα stores είναι πολύ βαριές. Δηλαδή, ειδικά σε non-high-end devices, οι χρήστες τους ενδιαφέρει πάρα πολύ να κάνουν οικονομία στο χώρο που έχουν. Οπότε βλέπεις χρήστες να βάζουν εφαρμογές, να τις βγάζουν και να κοιτάνε πάρα πολύ να τους ενδιαφέρει πάρα πολύ το πόσο μεγάλες είναι. Οπότε εδώ αυτό είναι παράδειγμα από την Ινδία για να κλείσει εισιτήρια σε σινεμά. Είδαν αύξηση 80% στο conversion rate όταν το γύρισαν σε Progressive Web App και το Progressive Web App είναι 54 φορές πιο μικρό σε σχέση με την εφαρμογή την Android και 180 φορές πιο μικρό σε σχέση με την iOS. Αν θέλετε να βρείτε εσείς παραδείγματα, υπάρχει το Progressive Web App Directory και τώρα μάλιστα έχει και ένα search bar, οπότε μπορείς να ψάξεις για συγκεκριμένες λέξεις για τον κλάδο σου. Και δουλεύει across browsers. Τώρα πρόσφατα ανακοίνωσε και το Safari ότι δέχονται service workers. Οπότε στα πιο τελευταία versions. Οπότε τώρα έχουμε όλους τους browsers ουσιαστικά στις τελευταίες εκδοχές τους που δέχονται service workers και κάποια από τα functionalities τα οποία θα μιλήσει και ο Μάριος αργότερα είναι work in progress. Πολύ ενδιαφέρον δουλειά έχει γίνει και με AMP και Progressive Web Apps. Οπότε είπαμε πριν ότι μπορεί όταν ξεκινάς να φορτώνει πιο αργά, αυτό μπορεί να το λύσει με AMP σελίδα. Οπότε φορτώνεις AMP σελίδα. Στην AMP σελίδα υπάρχει component που σε επιτρέπει να βάλεις install service worker και στο επόμενο βήμα γίνεσαι Progressive Web App. Και θα σας δείξω ένα case study. Δεν ξέρω ακριβώς πώς. Marius, you know how to deal with this, the echo? And I have to put it in the...
The echo
from here, but how do you put... Oh, it's my
Try now.
Try now, because I turned out the...
Yeah, I just have to mute my microphone. How do you do that? Πώς το κλείνω αυτό? Ωραία. Άρα αυτό είναι πολύ ενδιαφέρον, γιατί ουσιαστικά είναι όπως μας έδειξε ο Μάριος πριν, ψάχνεις Wigo Flights Dubai Athens, σου βγαίνει η AMP σελίδα πρώτη στα οργανικά, πατάς, είναι static data, δεν έχει κάτι, έχει ας πούμε το πρόγραμμα των πτήσεων, αλλά έχει μετά βάλε ημερομηνίες ή search. Έχει ήδη φορτώσει το service worker, πατάς εσύ search και σε πάει απευθείας στο progressive web app. Είναι πάρα πολύ γρήγορη εμπειρία. Νομίζω το Wigo για μένα είναι το καλύτερο case study αυτή τη στιγμή, γιατί έχουν υλοποιήσει το AMP και το Progressive Web μαζί, αλλά έχουν υλοποιήσει και άλλες τεχνολογίες για τις οποίες θα μιλήσει ο Μάριος, που βλέπατε το Google Pay κτλ. Οπότε, ουσιαστικά το AMP σου λύνει το πρόβλημα του να φορτώνει πολύ γρήγορα η πρώτη σελίδα, και το Progressive Web App σου λύνει το πρόβλημα του να είναι πιο διαδραστικό από αυτό το βήμα και μετά. Άλλο ένα παράδειγμα είναι η Conga. Δεν θυμάμαι ποια χώρα, νομίζω Νιγηρία είναι η χώρα στην οποία ξεκίνησε. Είναι retail store στη Νιγηρία και πάλι έχουμε μια χώρα με πολύ κακά connections. Ουσιαστικά πας στην AMP σελίδα και μετά αργότερα μεταφέρεσαι στο Progressive Web App. Και ένα ωραίο quote από την Gartner που λέει «By 2020 το 50% των εφαρμογών θα είναι Progressive Web Apps». Ωραία. Δεν ξέρω αν έχετε κάποια ερώτηση πάνω σε αυτό. Αυτές είναι κάποιες γνωστές εταιρείες που έχουν υλοποιήσει Progressive Web Apps, αλλά όπως θα δείτε και στο Progressive Web App Directory όλο και περισσότερο. Δηλαδή, πέρυσι στο Progressive Web App Directory έβλεπες developers να πειραματίζονται, αλλά τώρα βλέπεις όλο και περισσότερες εταιρείες που έχουν υλοποιήσει sites. Ωραία. Marius, over to you for...
Any questions to Marcos? Any questions? Okay. Yeah. So we talk today a lot about how to optimize the different points of the customer journey. So we talk about discovery, especially about speed, AMP. Then we talk about engagement, especially around progressive web app and different new approaches, notifications, adding to home screen to actually improve the engagement on web. We're talking about working with the data, which is more like the layer overgoing the whole journey. And then if we go to the conversion and retention, how to actually improve that for the user. And there are a lot of different approaches, technologies coming to that space. If you look at the data, always one of the main reasons for abandonments of the like shopping carts is, of course, either like there is like too long, complicated checkout process, or like the site that wanted me to create an account, excluding, of course, the extra external reasons like some additional shopping fees. So, and it's coming to the point that if you look at the research around, okay, what are like the biggest things that our e-commerce professionals are going to test by 2020? We have conversational e-commerce like chatbots, personal assistant. We have Google Assistant here. We have artificial intelligence for personalization. I was talking that during the data. Again, it wasn't really the coincidence that I was talking about using cloud, using AI. That's really a lot of coming to this space. And then, of course, we have digital wallets and mobile payments, both on the agency and client side. So you see the data is kind of similar. Digital wallet is kind of interesting point, yeah. And of course, Google, we introduced a few different payment options, but at specific point we recognized that it's kind of confusing for the people, yeah, because there was like Google Wallet, there was Android Pay, there were like different options. It was very hard to actually understand how it works, where it can fit, and so on. So that's why just recently Google combined all different payment options under one brand that is called Google Pay. That was announced just a few weeks ago, and being available in most of the countries in the world. And what is the idea behind the Google Pay? Because on one side we had Android Pay when it was based on the app integration. You had the Android Pay app on your phone, and as long as Android Pay was available in your country, which wasn't the case for most of the CE region, actually Android Pay was actually available only in a few countries. So that was kind of challenge and the kind of obstacle. So that's why Google, I would say, approaches it a little bit differently, because like users using Google service like YouTube, Google Play, they're actually buying those different services, and they're using specific payment options, especially like credit cards. And what we are doing, it's actually once somebody is buying something on Google, we're allowed to store this payment information and use it for the future payments. So if I'm buying something on Google Play, my credit card is stored and can be used for the further and future payment transactions. So if you go to payments.google.com, you can check if you in your case you have any payment method stored with Google. Most probably you will have any, and Google Pay is actually allowing to use that payment information that is of course stored and bind to your specific identity at Google to use for the future transactions. Yeah, so those millions of cards on file, and they are saved to Google accounts that can be used for the transaction. So, and of course, it's just the beginning. It's the idea is to make sure that those payment options that Google Play can be used with Assistant, with all different new devices coming to Google Space as well, including like some off-store transactions as well. So right now with this, that was actually the biggest difference between Google Pay and Android Pay. that Android Pay just was available in a few countries. It was very limited to just users of Android Pay. Google Pay is actually available in like 60 plus countries. It's actually available to all users that have cards stored with Google. So what it means for the company and what it means for the merchant. So merchant, which is like the owner of the website who wants to implement Google Pay on his website. That's again the difference between Android Pay and Google Pay. And Android Pay, that integration was kind of difficult. It took kind of a lot of time. In case of Google Pay, it's just a few lines of code. The implementation is kind of easy. The most of the work is actually taken by Google and by the payment processor. So actually, Google is doing the integration with Google payment process. Google is doing the integration with payment processor, and then once we are the owner of the website and the payments are actually processed by the payment processor who actually was integrated with Google already, we can just add a few lines to code to our website, and then integration is final. Of course, we don't take any other additional fees for processing. It's just the same contract you had with your payment processor. It works the same as you would have with any other online transaction. How it works? So if we have current checkout process looks like this way. So we have adding product to the shopping cart and then filling out specific forms, adding the credit card, filling out the form. The situation versus Google Pay would be is just few clicks with Google Pay. I'm choosing specific payment option that is under my Google account. It could be that I have a few different options under my Google account, and then I'm paying. Maybe to just show it in the real case, real Airbnb case, when we have a specific listing, and then we click book, and then we have the button pay with Google. You click that button, and then you will see what are the different payment options that are stored under your account as the user. You can choose this one you like, and then the whole transaction is finalized. So again, this is the regular, this is the with Google Pay. So you see, and that's fine. So again, user just click the button Google Pay, choose the specific payment option under his account, and then he's finalizing that transaction. So those are actually, we just started, of course, but there are some live websites using Google Pay already. So if you want to check out, you can go and see how it looks like on their site if you would like to test it. The first, we have even some first case studies and some strong points showing that Google Pay in this such integration can really improve the conversion rate. You see that, for example, Hotel Tonight, once they look at the people who use the Google Pay, they were 65% more likely to finalize the checking out flow. Yeah, kind of strong. And then with some of those brands, we had some together some promotional activities. In this case, the retention of the users who have actually chosen that as the first method was quite high. Or in this case, a lot of those transactions were actually driven by new users, which probably shows that in the past those people were not very likely to finalize the transaction, but with much simpler way to finalize the transaction, actually it's getting easier and easier. So again, we see it as the future of e-commerce. So it will be coming, of course, to the assistant, but just to remember, it's kind of easy to integrate. We have on the website, we have list of the payment processors who are actually integrated already, but of course, we will be working more and more on new processors coming to the space. And of course, on your side, you can start discussing that with your clients. On the other hand, if you see that there are specific payment processes that really important to work with at Greece, let us know as well, because we see it really as the future of e-commerce, and that actually, I think, once we start to implement such solutions for users, the payment and whole checkout flow on mobile can be even faster than on desktop. Yeah, and that's actually what we all aiming at. Yeah. Again, get access, implement, and promote. API is very easy. You can just go to the Google, look for Google Pay API, and then you will find more and more information around it. Any questions? Again, kind of new thing, and having, I think, a really big influence on the conversion rates. And then another point of this conversion process, which is actually identity. Yeah, in the same research I was showing before, reason for abandonment, high abandonment during the checkout was the site wanted me to create an account, and it's coming from the space that not many users, they like to create the account. Not all users actually like to add additional passwords, additional logins to a new website. So that's why Google is actually adding some additional services to that space as well, including some possibility to sign in with Google, to make sure that the user will not need to actually create the account on your website. He will just be able to finalize the transaction with using Google identity, or even with some contextual sign-in when we have in case of Ouigo. And something that is kind of very interesting and is actually coming to space, something that is called One Tap. It's actually using Google identity to finalize specific transaction. You see, I'm coming to the website, I'm signing to Google account, and then website's recognizing that, and it's actually allowing me to sign in using that identity. So in this case, it's actually passwordless situation. So actually, in this case, the user is not creating any other account. Is just kind of tokenized exchange information between Google and server. So in this case, user can actually finalize a transaction using Google identity, or it can be like in this case, we are verifying, or it can be actually when we are having the ability to create like simple account that is tied to the Google identity. So in this case, we are creating the account, and we actually are giving the possibility to tie that account to the Google identity, which means that when the user is coming back and he's signed to the Google account, he doesn't need to log into your website. So I see I'm creating the account, yes, and then when I'm coming again, this account is actually tied to the Google identity, so actually it's allowing me to sign in using that account. Yeah, so you see, I'm creating the account. So in this case, I would create the account, and then I'm going again, and then because in the previous step, once I was creating the account, it was tied to the Google identity. Once I'm coming back, and I'm signing into the Google account, is the system actually recognize it, and it's allowing me to sign in without filling out the form of the. So again, we have the first like cases, proof points showing that it really can improve the conversion rates. So as was mentioning by Marcos, not all stuff is available in all different browsers. So for example, our Google Pay, for now it's for Android, but till the end of the like the quarter will be available on all browsers. This one-tap sign in and sign up, this actually, when we do not really create account, we are just using this passwordless identity. It's all available on all browsers. Credential LPI, we are just recognizing the specific password once we create that account is actually so far available on Android. And this is information today, but something that can be very useful. It's the website that is called caniuse.com, which is, it's actually the website that is giving the information if specific feature is available on specific browser. So for example, if I start to write service workers, you see, it's right now available on Firefox and Chrome. It will be in iOS Safari 11.3, and then on other browsers, which means that today it's available for around 80% of the users in Greece. I can even check that service work and that fetch. If I go, for example, like on web notification, you see again Chrome, Firefox, and then I can even check all users and even, okay, I would like to check specific country, Serbia, whatever, like Greece or like any other country. Really useful website to understand better availability of those technologies. Because again, this is actually for current moment. It will be changing often, so it's better to understand, actually know those. That website caniuse.com is very, very useful for this space. Any questions? So again, just to summarize for today, we talk about discovery, speed, and AMP, engagement, PWA, notifications, adding to screen, or adding to home screen. We talk about Google Pay and Google Identity as the way to increase conversion and retention. Yeah, and of course, all that stuff is actually kind of helping to improve the conversion rates on mobile. Yeah, if we would start from the easiest, AMP is the easiest. It's actually, I would say, the most mature approach. Then, of course, progressive web app, especially in those businesses when we have a lot of users coming out of kind of extreme scenarios. Yeah. So, for example, if I'm some verticals have very extreme usage of frequency. Yeah, like gaming. Yeah, in gaming. Some good games have, for example, like day 7 retention around 40%. Yeah, which means that if I downloaded 1,000 apps, 400 of them will see even on the 7th then of the download. Yeah, which means that that specific vertical has very high frequency of use. The other extreme is I'm selling fridges. So people are not buying fridges like 3 times per month. So unless you will have very good cross-selling or promotional activities, like most probably people will just be coming not very often to your website. They will just buy the fridge, and then as long as you don't have good way to cross-promote your products, they will not come so often. Yeah. So in this first extreme, the best idea for the user probably it would be to have the game, yeah, because frequency of use is very high. In the second, mobile website is not the brainer, yeah, because the people actually are just coming probably not very frequently to that specific mobile asset. But in many verticals, most of the users are going actually beyond those 2 extreme scenarios. Yeah, they come a few times per month. but they are not still ready to download the app. Yeah? So in this case, they would like to have better experience just versus usual, but not at the cost of downloading the app. So in this case, for those businesses, especially travel, retail, progressive web app is something very interesting and very promising. And then, of course, for all companies that are doing some online transactions, like Google Pay and Google Identity, it's the way to go. Of course, they have some specific limitation behind that, and I would say I would not say they are not so mature. It's just, I would say we're a little bit earlier stage versus, for example, AMP. Any questions? Because at the end of the day, the whole goal of the transaction on the mobile is actually to make sure that we have some similar situation like this. Yeah, I'm buying the hoodie, so I'm going to the search. I go to the AMP page, which is very fast. So the page is loading very fast. I have very good experience with discovery. Then I'm looking at the product, and that product is not available. But then I have notification. Would you like to get information about the product when it's back? So the user says, okay, I'm allowing. I would like to have get the notification once the product is available. The user it's actually it's agreeing for that goal. So we are giving its permission, and then we are losing the connection. But because we are on the progressive web app, which means that part of the website is cached by service worker already, which means we can still use most of the part of the website. So we are not abandoning the website, we are still on that website, which means that once we got back the connection, we can actually still use the website. And then we decided to finish that specific visit. We are arriving at home, and a few hours later, we're actually getting the notification from the company saying, okay, by the way, that product that you saw and you liked, it's available already. And you see, we have notification from the progressive web app in the same way we would have from native app. We go to the website, adding to the product, doing the checkout, using the Google Identity for checkout, which means we don't need even to create the account. We can finalize the transaction quickly. And then we are choosing pay using any like e-commerce wallet, like Google Pay, and then we can actually buy the product, and being happy that actually the transaction was so smooth. So once we get question from the website, okay, would you like to add us to the home screen? Yes, actually this was a really good website. We got really good experience at website. So we are saying, okay, at the home screen, we have on the home screen. So then whenever we open, it's like behaving like the app. And that's like how those different approaches can actually work together to actually optimize the whole user experience, to make sure that the whole transaction is actually fast, convenient, and like troubleless for the user. Yeah, if you would like, for example, to check out some of those features, you can check out this demo. On this demo, for example, you can check out the Google Identity demo, so you can see how it works actually, because for many people, especially Google Identity is something quite new and not very wide known. Okay, any questions? Because that would be all for today from me. Any questions around any of those approaches? If not, then Marcos?
Yeah. Έχουμε ένα κομμάτι ακόμα για UX. Μάλλον θα μου πάρει 20 λεπτά. Θέλετε να το κάνουμε τώρα ή θέλετε να σας στείλω την παρουσίαση? Τους έχουμε και κλεισμένους μέσα σε ένα δωμάτιο αρκετή ώρα, οπότε... Πώς θέλουν να το κάνουμε τώρα? Πόσοι θέλουν την παρουσίαση? Εντάξει, Ωραία, θα σας στείλουμε την παρουσίαση. Απλά, μια περίληψη αυτού. Έχουμε βγάλει 3 playbooks, τα οποία μπορεί να είναι και online, μπορεί να τα ζητήσει και από τις ομάδες που συνεργάζεστε, τα οποία είναι UX για retail, finance και travel. Και έχουν αρκετή πληροφορία μέσα, οπότε αν ασχολείστε με το UX κομμάτι, έχει πολύ υλικό. Αυτό. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ που ήρθατε. Έχει φαγητό, θα είμαστε και εμείς έξω αν έχετε ερωτήσεις.